This week on the Jock and Nerd podcast, Matt Delhauer returns for a new entry into our What the Fuck Happened series, the series where we take a look at comic book movies that bombed big and try to determine what the fuck happened. Matt is taking us back to the late 90s as he breaks down the Shaquille O'Neal-led superhero movie Steel in this edition of the Jock and Nerd Weekly for Monday, July 26th, 2021.
Check one. All right. This is for all you fans out there. Let's give it up. Jock it, we nerd it. We funny, disturb it. We jock it, we nerd it. We spoiler alert. Oh yeah!
Hello and what's up, listener? How's it going? Welcome to the Jock and Nerd podcast, where we deliver comic book and superhero TV and movie news, reviews, and whatever we choose. Jock and Nerd. My name is Imran.
My name's Anthony.
He's the Jock.
He's the nerd.
And joining us very
We'll be
special.
next time.
No, stop triggering the end of the show.
Oh, shit.
We got to welcome our special guest this episode, our buddy, friend of the show. He goes back to the very beginning, of course. It's the Ginger Geek, Matt Delhauer. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, fellas?
How's it going? Great to have you back.
It's going well. It's going really well. Yeah, I was thinking back on it, and I think the last time I was on was, God, what, like September of last year?
It was it was the last What the Fuck Happened, possibly.
So it was around that time, maybe a little later, maybe like November or something. I don't trust me. What do I know? I'm just a jackass.
Rug Boy is not going to be with us. He fell through another wormhole or got pruned from the timeline again. I ordered another variant Rug Boy. It should be delivered by our next show. Don't worry.
This one's going to be even drunker.
Yes, the variants, they get cheaper and cheaper the more when you order them in bulk. Oh, you get a great price on Rug Boy variants. Anyways.
This one's going to be even more triggered than he already is on Twitter.
I don't think that's possible. What? Right, Rugs?
The man cannot stop arguing with people on Twitter.
His Twitter feed, @ReallyRugBoy, make sure to follow. It is quite entertaining. Delhauer, we have you here because the title we are doing, you've seen the title, listener, we are doing a brand new entry, the 16th edition of What the Fuck Happened series.
Sweet 16.
I was going to say, Sweet 16, baby.
Where is this party being held?
Oh, is it?
How much money is being spent on this Sweet 16?
I think we rented out the back room at the Buffalo Wild Wings. It was cheap.
So janitor's closet, actually.
I specifically demanded that it be the Hilton at the airport.
Listen, the Chuck E. Cheese was booked. I'm sorry.
Nothing like airport bars or hotel airport bars.
Yep,
those are the most fun.
Filled with the most mentally competent people you're going to come across.
You get all the drunk convention honeys, right? Yeah.
Oh shit! I don't even know if you get any honeys.
No, I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna go with pilots who wish they had stopped being pilots years ago. Alec.
Yeah. Yes, I think the age range there is like 45 to 56, single, depressed.
That's the pool. All right. Yeah. Well, to some people, that's a plus. I don't know.
Actually, I have a question though. I have a couple questions for Nerdhauer.
I have not been to the airport Hilton in some time.
That's good to know. So that eliminates question number one.
Okay, great.
Question number two, Imran kind of alluded to this, but did you watch Loki, and what were your thoughts if you did?
I did watch Loki. I enjoyed it very much as a longtime fanboy of Doctor Who. It was essentially what I was looking for. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say, I don't know if this is a controversial statement on your podcast, but I believe that having a sexual relationship with your own variant, perfectly fine.
Oh, shit. Sure, why not?
That's fine, yeah.
Yeah, you're just fucking yourself. What does it even matter?
You're not hurting anybody.
And I think I saw someone make this argument online. This is something that could really physically never, ever happen.
Yeah, it's
there's
fantasy.
No point
Who
in
gives
even
a shit?
So there's no point in even debating it because it can't happen. You can't have a stance on something that can't happen.
Exactly. It's
absolutely.
Like this is the exact same thing as just sitting there getting into an argument about whether or not ethics came into play in Jurassic Park. Doesn't fucking matter.
Can't happen. the situation will never happen. But yeah, what did you think of the ending?
Very talky. I had to watch it a second time because I got very the architect from Matrix vibes on how it all went down. But I enjoyed it. Good. I like the idea of ending on a very cerebral note instead of having, we're going to do a big punchy up fight with the big bad guy at the end, and we're going to spin around in the sky shooting beams at each other.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys have seen it because, you're hip. You know what's going on in the now. The video that was going around showing that both the WandaVision and Loki endings line up at the exact moment when Wanda breaks reality.
I had a feeling something like that was happening, and yes, they line up, and it makes sense, and it's awesome. I love that.
So that was really cool. Yeah, all in all, really enjoyed it. Was along for the ride. I know some people were like, "Oh, I think episode 3 was stupid" or something, but my response was, they did like a 10-minute one-shot take at the end of that episode, and that was fucking cool.
It's beautiful.
So yeah, ultimately, I enjoyed it. I have not had Disney Plus really upset me at all with anything that they've put out this year for Marvel.
As far as Marvel?
Yeah. Rate the 3 series. Which ones do you like? What order is it for you?
Boy, it's funny because I like each one of them for different reasons.
Sure.
I really loved. Like, WandaVision was one where I really was kind of tied into just, like, every episode. I'm like, I gotta fucking know what's going on here. I need to see the next episode because it had that mystery element. And while Loki had that a bit as well, I was more into the fantastical journey of it.
Yeah.
I think Loki was the best looking show. It had the most cinematic look to it.
Okay.
But I do also like that Falcon and Winter Soldier felt like a return to classic Marvel as we've known it throughout the past 10 years.
Yeah.
Which I can call classic over the course of 10 years.
It's not classic.
But I don't know. I would say out of all of them, I would probably put Loki top.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would probably put WandaVision second, but it's very close with Falcon and Winter Soldier, just because Falcon and Winter Soldier, I liked what we got. I think it was a little kludgy, and I definitely think they didn't stick all of the landings at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I mean, at least WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier, I felt had some closure at the end. Things were kind of resolved and wrapped up. And that was my only problem with Loki. I was like, oh, you gave me half a thing in the middle. You didn't write the end. Okay, whatever. All right.
Yeah. Well, and I will admit, at least they were willing to say right then and there, we are looking to continue this show rather than the other ones where it's like, no, this is done forever and this one's leading to a movie.
Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen after this. Yes.
Right,
All right. Cool.
There you go.
All right. I like it. All right, back to Steel, you fucks. What the fuck happened to Steel? I want to ask one more question to Delhauer. How did you end up on choosing Steel from 1997?
Oh, boy. Well, let's see.
Jeez.
Last time I talked to you about this, Imran, I was down to 2 choices. It was either going to be Steel or it was going to be Jonah Hex.
Oh, boy.
And which I guess means Jonah Hex will just have to be next, probably.
Oh no!
Megan Fox in it though.
I think I finally decided on Steel because I was like, neither of these movies have a lot of information about like how or why they were made. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to do a lot of work. And if I'm gonna have to do a lot of work, I'd rather go with something I think is gonna be dumb fun rather than just dumb.
I like that reasoning, and I think you made the right choice. So let me set the scene for what the fuck happened to Steel before we get the recap and analyses from the Delhauer. This movie, Steel, released the weekend of August 15, 1997. Let's all go back 24 years to 1997. The number 1 song that week of August, I'll Be Missing You by Puff Daddy and Faith Evans, featuring 112. You know, when Puff Daddy figured out he could just steal police songs and change the beat and talk over it.
His best friend got murdered. Get off his back.
Jesus Christ.
It is.
Jesus Christ.
It's a touching song, but I liked it the first time I heard it when the police did it. Anyways, in the movie theater, burning up the box office.
Jesus Christ. This guy. Best friend is Murray. He's like, oh, song could have been better.
Well, I mean, he is a fucking thief, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to commemorate your best friend's death by stealing P. Diddy Really? Is that any kind of example?
I don't know if that's really sustainable.
No,
It's Bad Boy Records. He's a bad boy.
He is a bad boy. He is a bad boy. I'll give him that. At the theaters, you would, if you went to the box office, you had your choice of these top grossing movies: Air Force One, Copland, and Conspiracy Theory, making a lot of money at the time. And here's something really interesting. Just a few days earlier, Comedy Central on August 13th, 1997, debuts fucking South Park.
Oh, shit.
The premiere. So we are at the beginning of South Park. And what's ironic, Delhauer, you picked this movie this year, 1997. We are familiar with in What the Fuck Happened. This is the third movie that we've done from 1997.
Yes, it is. It's steadily creeping up on taking the title. It might even have done so.
Yes, so
what were the other two?
1997 also gave us Batman and Robin, George Clooney, Chris O'Donnell, and Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Oh, shit.
Oh, we didn't do that.
We didn't do that.
We reviewed it.
Though.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys
close
did that.
Enough. We did. That was a Patreon movie. Okay.
That was a Patreon.
Okay, that almost felt like a What the Fuck Happened, though, honestly.
It might as well have been.
Yes. But we also have Spawn coming out that year. You have Turbo, the Power Rangers movie, and Men in Black.
Stop. Men in Black was good, but beyond that, stop putting things on my list.
Yeah, no, those are all bad. I'm just saying Men in Black was like the one good thing that came out, comic book adaptation. And then, Anthony, let me ask you this. 1997, where was Shaquille O'Neal's career and reputation at? Do you remember? Can you go back?
I think he was with the Lakers by that point.
He was.
He was with the Lakers. Shaq was a big deal. Yeah. I mean, obviously, if they had him in movies... He was a big deal.
We'll touch on it later on, but yes, he was both with the LA Lakers and had just come off of playing on the 1996 men's Olympic basketball team for the U.S.
That's right. All right. So,
and keep in mind, and this is, Shaq hadn't won any championships yet, but he was already like probably the best center in the league, and for the NBA at least, had a ton of charisma. We'll get to what that means when it translates to movies.
Translate. So he's living large. It's kind of like Shaq time. I knew Shaq.
Yeah, I think Kazam just came out the year before,
yes,
right?
1996, Kazam came out, yes. But I knew Shaq because I loved old school hip hop from the early 90s. He did an album with the Fushnikins, and he puts out a song, Can We Rock? What's up, Doc? Can we rock? And he wasn't bad, actually. With the Fushnikins, I was like, oh, Shaq's not a bad rapper. What do you know? So that was a few years earlier. So
now let's also be clear, though.
Yeah,
Shaq's not a good rapper either.
He's not good, but he was able to keep up with the Fushnikins, and
very much like I'm going to touch on when it comes to acting.
All right,
Shaq can say words.
He can say words in order, and that he memorized earlier in the day. Yeah. So the character of Steel, of course, this movie is loosely based on the DC Comics character Steel, also known as John Henry Irons' first appearance, The Adventures of Superman number 500, June 1993. This character comes out of the death of Superman at the hands of Doomsday storyline. He is one of the 4 replacement Superman in the mid-90s that all got their own solo comic book titles. And that was Superboy, the Last Son of Krypton, Steel, and the Cyborg Superman were until, of course, they brought Superman back from the dead.
I was going to say, who was the fourth? Was it just Superman again?
It was Superboy, and then one dude was called Last Son of Krypton.
Oh, see, I thought Superboy, Last Son of Krypton
those are two
was
people.
Like the full name. I was like, oh, damn, that's actually a dope title.
They split that up. It was 2 different people. Steel, created by Louise Simonson and John Bogdanove. Louise Simonson, married to Walt Simonson, does amazing Thor runs, amazing work in Marvel and DC. On Rotten Tomatoes, this movie is sitting at a healthy 12%.
Not the worst.
3.2 out of 10. Not the worst. It's
still not the worst we've done.
There's 11 points, below it. And here's where it gets really quite embarrassing. The budget of this movie, $16 million they paid to make this movie. Opening weekend, it makes $870,000. It finishes its domestic entire theatrical run at $1.7 million.
Wompy John.
Oh, shit.
Wow. That is alarming and shocking. The movie, written and directed by one Kenneth Johnson.
Branagh?
What? Not Kenneth Branagh. That's a
Kenneth
different.
Branagh.
That's a different Thor movie.
Now that's a swerve.
Kenneth Branagh by Steel would have been great.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, that's been
All
awesome.
the Dutch
I
angles.
was going to say so many Dutch angles.
This one had some Dutch angles. They were trying. But Kenneth Johnson, most known for writing, he wrote on The Bionic Woman back in the 70s, the Incredible Hulk show in the 70s. He wrote that V Alien miniseries that I loved as a kid and created the Alien Nation TV series and whole thing. So he liked to write about aliens and stuff.
And women who are bionic.
And women who are bionic. We have the technology. So written and directed by Mr. Johnson, produced by Shaquille O'Neal, Quincy Jones, also producing, and some others, which is why you get some fun music. And of course, starring Shaquille O'Neal. You got Annabeth Gish as the female.
As the girl in the chair.
The girl in the chair. Yeah, Susan Spice.
As his best friend?
I guess. It's a weird relationship. Judd Nelson as the bad guy, Nathaniel Burke. The amazing Richard Roundtree, OG motherfucking Shaft himself, as Uncle Joe. And Irma P. Hall. You got Ray J. Charles Napier. Bunch of other great old school character
I love
actors.
the fact that Ray J's in this fucking movie.
When I saw
J.
the opening credits and that they put Ray J, I was like, what? Ray J is in this?
Martin.
As you can see, I don't remember seeing this in full. So I think this was my first time.
One of my favorite things about it was I was watching a video someone had, I think it was Joe Blow, had done a awfully good movies video on this movie. And they referred to him as pre-Kardashian Ray J.
That's good.
You know, never mind.
We'll get into it when we get to him.
He used to have an identity before doing that.
Yeah, didn't we all?
Yeah. Then we fucked a Kardashian.
Oh, shit.
Wish we could. Well, never mind.
All right, look, as we go into this, as I hand over the reins to Delhauer, let's just all remember, at this point, Shaq is a little over 7 feet tall and weighs a little over 300 pounds. This is important to just keep in your mind because it will come up. It will come up. I thought so. Yes. And the theater goes dark. There's nobody in it. Is it COVID? No, this is 1997 and nobody has come to see this movie.
I was going to say it's 1997. It's opening weekend.
It's opening weekend of Steel and it made $2 and roll Delhauer.
Okay. So let's just jump on into this one, gang. So this movie opens up with a tank rolling its way through what I can only imagine is the Warner Brothers backlot. And as it's making its way over the greenery that is in this one small patch of grass that they happen to be in, it is shot at with a crazy laser gun coming out of the brush that blows up the tread on the tank, and it like superheats the side of it, and so on and so forth. What we find out is that this is apparently an Army weapons demonstration being held by the Army Weapons Division, I guess, where we meet such characters as John Henry Irons, as played by Shaquille O'Neal, and his partners Susan Sparks, known as Sparky, and Nathaniel Burke, makes 3. They are all weapons designers and high-tech scientists working for the U.S. Army, showing off their latest invention to a senator who probably had a name. We establish immediately that John Henry Irons is a man who wants to create weapons that are effective but not deadly, because he does not like the idea of killing other people, much to the chagrin of this very bloodthirsty senator. And she seems to take more of a shine to Nathaniel Burke, as played by Judd Nelson, and his rapey eyes. The acting Judd Nelson does in this movie is, I feel like he knew that this movie wasn't going to do well, and instead of like being over the top and chewing the scenery, he was like, I'm going to see if I can make everybody in a scene with me as uncomfortable around me as possible. I'm going to speak slowly, I'm going to speak softly, but I'm going to fuck the shit out of them. So, showing off their next weapon, a sonic cannon that they believe will be able to do things such as blowing walls off of buildings and blowing open doors and, all kinds of cool Sonic stuff, Nathaniel Burke decides he wants to be the one to show it off, and he sets the power way too high to a level they have yet to test or even been allowed to test. And not only does he completely blow up the building across the street they're using for target practice, it bounces back and hits the building they're in, crumbling the wall in front of them, crushing the senator to death, and crippling Sparky.
Not Sparky.
Not Sparky. I literally, I think one of the notes I wrote was, as he is trying to lift the concrete wall off of Sparky, he yells, "Sparky!" And I thought, oh my God, they killed a dog? Turns out I was wrong.
I also thought I noticed like pink foam real quick in that crumbling scene, like they forgot to paint an edge of something.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think some of the fake wall didn't get finish on it.
No,
and,
that's what I thought.
You know, man, when you only got $16 million to work with...
Hey, some things don't get painted. What are you going to do?
You're going to lose a few things in the edit.
That's a healthy budget, by the way. I mean, even for the time.
Oh, yeah. Now, this is the first scene where we get the idea that John Henry Irons is superhumanly strong. And you could initially try to write this off as being adrenaline in the moment to try and save his friend. But it will come back.
Yes, it does. It's confusing.
They hold a court-martial in which John Henry Irons testifies against the fact that Nathaniel was absolutely responsible for the death of a senator and crippling a fellow soldier. And apparently the army decides to just let him go home. That's it.
You're a bad boy.
You know what? You done did wrong.
Go home, think about what you did.
You get out of my sight, and bye.
Jeez, Bender. Get out of here.
Johnny Bender.
I do love the fact that we then cut to a scene where they're in a hallway and he immediately just turns to Shaq and goes, "Thanks for selling out your brother soldier."
He's just standing there.
It's like, what? Okay. And then he has like a temper tantrum and shoves people out of his way as he leaves.
Right away, too, in the beginning of the movie, and I knew he was big, but right away it's like, Jesus Christ, Shaq is so tall.
He's giant.
It's so awkward seeing him interact with people.
He's 2 heads above everybody else in this film.
Right. It just doesn't, not his fault, but for whatever reason, it just does not look good on screen with him that tall.
When he stands next to a doorway in a house, it's just too obvious. Like,
and that's why you have such instances as like Tom Cruise has to stand on a box so that he meets the eye line of his fellow actors, because that helps in trying to make sure that there is a back and forth that proves these characters have the ability to be on the same playing field.
Right.
When he towers over absolutely everybody in this film,
nothing you could do about
there is
that.
not a single moment where you think to yourself, I'm going to assume Nathaniel Burke is a threat to him. So he decides that he is not happy with the special weapons group he is in because they led to, his best friend getting crippled and a crazy fish-eyed rapist getting away with essentially murdering a senator. So he says, "That's it. I'm done. I'm out of here." And he quits Army.
We could do that.
He's just like, you might be okay with this, but I'm not. And that's it. He's now no longer in the military. So in this universe, you can just say, "Nah, I'm done.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I'm out.
Bye, guys. I had fun, but I'm going now." He goes to visit Sparky, and she apparently does not yet know that she's going to be crippled for the rest of her life.
Oh.
And he doesn't have the heart to tell her, but he does let her know, "I'm going home to South Central." And he does. As he is walking around South Central, all 7'2" of him down these sidewalks, again, lumbering over every single person they have in this movie. They have everyone say, "Oh my God, Johnny, you're back. John, what's going on?" And he's bumping fists with all the kids in the neighborhood, and he's missing free throws at the basketball hoop because it's Shaq, and we are not going to let Shaq forget that he sucks at free throws.
Oh, they milk that joke.
Oh, they do. And to the point where it becomes a plot point.
Yes, it does.
Yes.
So, he finally meets up with his brother, I believe it was Martin?
Ray J.
Yes, Martin. Ray J playing Martin.
That his brother? Is that who it is?
It's supposed to be his little brother.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I thought it was like his nephew. Oh, I didn't
that
catch
was the thing, is like the problem with him being so big is like it's very easy to forget that like Shaq's in his fucking 20s in this movie.
Wow.
So, like, because he doesn't really age and he's always been that big, he looks like he's a fucking 45-year-old man.
He does.
But they go back and they return to Grandmama's house, which is the weirdest, quaint little picket fence house in the middle of a South Central
yes.
project.
Yes.
What? Like, and it was at this point in the movie when I went, oh, we're in a cartoon. Got it. All right, I get it now. And so they go in, they get yelled at because they were being too loud, and now Grandmama's souffle just evaporated on itself. He finds out that the gangs in the neighborhood have been bugging Martin and trying to get him to join up with one of the gangs. And he's not happy about that. But lucky for him, that never comes up again in the movie anyway. Instead, he gets himself a job at a steel mill, where apparently it is perfectly normal to have a couple of fly honeys in their good clothes walking around with hard hats on, because that's how they work at a steel mill.
I caught that and I was like, these women would never be working at a steel mill.
They are in short shorts and a tank top walking around a fucking steel mill.
Is the steel mill in South Central also? That would maybe explain it. I don't know.
Apparently, but at the same time, I'm talking fucking OSHA regulations here.
No, there's molten metal, ladies. What are you doing?
Their hair's not even tied up. They're not wearing safety goggles.
Fire hazard.
Also, like the implication that Shaq is this big stud, like, he's been a lot of things throughout his career, but no one's ever been like, man, Shaq, good-looking guy.
Shaquille O'Neal is not a sex symbol.
Never voted sexiest.
And that is probably I think that's the weirdest problem, is that they had this scene in here just to be like, all the women want John Henry Irons.
Right. Doesn't really.
And yet,
don't buy it.
Only women we ever see him interact with beyond this is an ex-girlfriend who, spoiler alert, dies in like the next two scenes. Sparky, who there's never actually like a full-on relationship with, because WB was not going to sign off on an interracial couple.
Oh, no, they were going to do that.
And then his grandmother.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's it. So apparently we needed this one moment so we could be like, yeah, women find him hot, but not hot enough for it to be part of the story. So while he's working at the steel mill, it turns out, by some stroke of weird luck, Nathaniel Burke is also from South Central?
Oh, that's interesting.
This weird, off-putting white man who just happened to be working with John in the Army in the exact same department is also from his hometown, but we have no inkling that there was ever a history between them before the Army.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of, like, it was like they decided to look at Karate Kid Part 3 and be like, oh, you've got like a friend that we've never met. What's that guy's name? Silver.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, right. Terry Silver.
Yeah, so it's like, you have like a friend with deep pockets that's just like inherently evil out of nowhere. And we're going to just now use this guy as like your money man.
Burke comes into town and he seeks out an old friend of his named Big Willie.
Hey, Big Willie.
And Big Willie is this rat-looking motherfucker.
Yeah.
Who apparently owns and operates a company that builds arcade cabinets and then ships them across the country. But it turns out it's all a front, because Big Willie is a big-time arms dealer.
Oh, the guns are in the arcade cabinets? Is that how that works?
He smuggles guns across the country in arcade cabinets.
In Pac-Man games. I got it.
This movie is terminally 90s.
I feel like they took that from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
No,
yeah,
like,
a little bit, yeah.
That was one of those things where I was like, this is very Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because of the fact that he's bringing in all of the neighborhood kids
right.
to, like, run the operation with him. So it's like, he's this weird, non-threatening shredder.
That was the Foot Clan hangout, man. It was a cool hangout.
It was a cleaned up Foot Clan hangout.
But, like, nobody knows karate, and I don't even get the sense that it's, like, fun for any of the kids who are here.
It doesn't look like fun. There's no ninjas.
The only sense that you get it was fun was when they go down to the basement with the card, and they go down and you see like the games and the guns, and then they're playing some like hip hop music.
Oh,
and you're like,
right.
oh, this is supposed to be the fun part of this.
That's the thing that I love about this movie, is that there is vague hip hop music everywhere, every so often, to the point where the main hero theme they wrote for this movie is essentially taking a knockoff version of the Superman theme and putting this like hip hop funk line under it. And I'm pretty sure it's the only song that they wrote for the movie.
Was that Men of Steel?
I'm assuming it is because it plays constantly.
Dude, that soundtrack was kind of big, I think. And that song had Ice Cube, KRS-One, Be
it's
Real.
Not that.
It's not that one.
It's literally the score, like the main score theme that they wrote for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's I literally think that they only had the money to be like, we need you to give us a theme song for this movie.
And you're also wondering, are they going to reference Superman at all at any point? I wonder.
And then they do in the weirdest way, but we're not there yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, Imran,
We'll get to it. Okay.
Sorry, he's talking
Grandma
about the
wants
music.
to be a French chef. Move on from that.
Yeah, that's
What's
another
with the
running joke. The
souffle?
souffle.
Quiet, my souffle's going to deflate.
I love the fact that this movie is filled with ADR exposition, where apparently the studio, I guess, just felt that there were points where kids are not going to understand what's happening in this movie. So you'll just suddenly have something like, it'll come up later on when we get into it, but it's like during one of the moments where there's like a big bank robbery scene, the guys who are robbing the bank go running up to the bank, and you just hear one guy go, "Yeah, we're getting in this way."
We need a line here to explain this.
I'm like, yeah, we fucking get it, man. You made a big show of it. Anyway, Burke, apparently, while setting up his plan, he's decided what he wants to do is he basically blackmails Big Willie into funding his ability to recreate these super weapons from the army. And then they're going to sell them off to a bunch of terrorist organizations and gangbangers so they can make millions of dollars.
Solid plan.
Which, I mean, yeah, it's a pretty decent villain plan.
Yeah.
But he also has this very weird moment where he says that there's one specific person he wants to recruit in on this. So apparently he knows everything about John's family because he is actively trying to recruit his little brother into their arms dealing gang.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, that whole, you'll probably touch on it, but that whole weird, like, recruiting the little kid. I didn't know what was what they were getting at.
It didn't go anywhere, is the problem. It never paid off.
We just kept seeing that little kid go with him after he'd be like, "You want to see something cool?" And they go away, and then you'd never see what they talked about.
Yeah, that's probably for the best. The worst part of it, I think, is that when he first meets Martin, and like his friend brings him in, he's like, "You're Martin. I've heard a whole lot about you." He's like, "Yeah," and he's like walking away with him. And he goes, "You could call me the man." And I'm like, that is not even subtle. You have literally just decided that your white villain in your black superhero movie actively calls himself the man.
There are some amazingly bad lines.
I didn't catch that, actually. That's funny.
I do remember
I
that
had to go back and put on the subtitles because I was like, there's no way he said, "Call me the man."
Judd Nelson's just riffing.
Probably. But we get like a time jump at this point because this movie doesn't have time to kind of like let anything marinate.
No.
So
we got an hour and a half.
Yeah, we've got 90 minutes tops to fill out what we're doing here. So immediately after Burke is able to get Big Willie to let him in on everything, he suddenly has a prototype built of this gun. And they go to test it out, and the guy who goes to test it, it blows up in his face and like destroys his eye. And so one of Big Willie's lieutenants, she's not about this. She hates that this happened and is basically telling Burke, "You're running wild down here and you don't care if anybody gets hurt." And then they point out that like, yeah, but the gun works. So he's allowed to keep going on with his building of this gun. And she vaguely threatens that, "Oh, well, you say accidents can happen. Well, they can happen to you too, Burke." So he decides to cut the brakes on an elevator with her in it and kill her.
Yes. This scene is amazing because they never cut to like the inside of the elevator. You just see it fall.
They don't
from
have
like,
that money, Imran.
I know. It's so funny. You just see them from above and below. Never inside.
I do love that when the elevator car crashes to the basement floor, it explodes out of the door so that the janitor has to like do a Pratt jump over his fucking mop cart. As it just explodes behind him.
Did somebody put explosives in the elevator also?
Look, honestly, maybe.
Yeah, he probably did.
I love that he just had the time to just sneak up to the elevator.
Yeah, set all this up.
He somehow rigged all of this up to a remote control that was like a key fob.
Right. Yeah, the tech in this movie is just amazing.
But they finally get their working prototype gun. And
he also gets his black butler now.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, Spencer,
like,
who's got that weird, deep, high voice.
It's
like deep and high at the same time. It's very strange.
The deep, like, devil from Legend voice.
Yes, it's an amazing voice.
But yes, so he gets his second in command, and they now have their working prototype gun. So their plan is now what they're going to do is they're going to send a bunch of gangbangers out with this, as well as with a super modded out Humvee, so that they can use these weapons to pull off a bank heist.
Right.
So they drive up next to the bank. They use the sonic cannon to blow all of the windows and the wall for the bank out. And then they use the laser gun to cut a big hole into the vault. Now, the problem I see with this plan is that it's not a quick plan still.
No.
Like, cutting through that vault with the laser took a lot of time. Yeah. But, luckily for us, at that exact same time, John and his brother Martin are driving around with, name not given, his ex-girlfriend who's now a cop.
Oh, that's right.
I didn't even pick up that was his
I didn't pick up on that either.
She makes a joke, or maybe he makes a joke about something about, you remember the last time we were in a car together?
Oh, right.
And I was like, they fucked, and I bet it was uncomfortable because he's a big man.
We couldn't find a bed big enough.
Yeah, so we decided the back seat of a car was better.
I destroyed a Chevy Impala making love to you.
I also love the fact that they're making like sly references to having fucked in a car while his like 13-year-old brother is driving around with them. But so I don't even the problem is I don't even fully know where it is they're going. But, it sounds like he has recruited her to bring his brother to, a Scared Straight program.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was like a ride-along thing or something.
Something.
Yeah.
But it was it was some kind of thing where it was like, yeah, well, we're trying to make sure that you don't fall down, you don't go down the wrong path, Martin. He's like, yeah, whatever, man. I'm about making that money. I was like, okay, good for you. I think the line of it was, why should I learn when I can earn?
There's some great lines in this movie.
And then talked about how he was getting a legit job working at the, arcade factory. But anyway, and John's really proud of him. He's like, "Oh yeah, good for you, man. Getting a legit job."
Yeah.
And you're like, "Ugh, John, you don't even know." Anyway, the call comes in on the radio that there's the robbery is happening, and so his ex-girlfriend decides, "All right, we're going to respond to this call." And I was thinking, the fuck do you mean you're going to respond to this call? I mean, yeah, you've got the Jolly Green Giant in the fucking front seat, but you've also got a 13-year-old kid in the back, and you're going to go pulling up on an armed robbery?
Yeah, that's probably not a good idea. What a coincidence, though, huh?
Oh, yeah. So they get to this robbery scene, and a few other cop cars have also arrived, and the bank robbers are now using the high-tech laser guns to fire Roman candles.
Yeah, they are Roman candles.
I was trying to figure out what I would call that. Yeah, it was like firework, but Roman candles.
It's literally I think when you see the gun shooting, it's like CGI, but when they show it flying at people, it's literally like they just lit Roman candles off on set and aimed them at each other.
But they had a lot of fun.
Well, I love too that these Roman candles or whatever, these are supposed to be like high tech weaponry.
Yeah.
And these hit these cops, and I'm pretty sure
they fucking die.
They would die, right? But I'm pretty sure it's implied because we see later one of the people get hit, and he's alive later, and it's just like, oh, so these don't kill you.
So it's weird is that I think it's very inconsistent because I think the first cop they hit with it, they kill that guy.
Mm-hmm.
He gets dropped to the ground, and he's not getting up.
Mm-hmm. So
I mean, maybe he's just stunned or knocked out or something. But while the ex-girlfriend shows up, she and both Martin and John run out of the car, and John immediately goes running into the line of fire to check on this cop.
Well, first off, not only that, but Martin gets out of the fucking car, and you're just like,
Martin gets out of the car, stands on the sidewalk, and nobody does anything about it.
Well, you're just like, this is the dumbest motherfucking teenager ever. Why are we doing this trope of the kid being this dumb?
That was the other problem, was that, like, not only is he a dumbass teenager, but the fucking police officer that he is currently, like, in the care of reacts absolutely in no way to the idea that he has just gotten out of her car during a fucking armed robbery and a gunfight.
You think she'd be like, you guys stay in the car?
Where was he going?
What was he going to do?
I guess he wanted a better look. But anyway, so John goes running out into the fucking line of fire. Now, I'll give him this much. Boy is Army, so I could immediately buy that he would do this.
Sure.
To go check on the one cop. Martin gets out of the car because we need him out of the car for the next moment when the ex-girlfriend decides she's going to go pull her cruiser up in front of the Humvee to block the escape of the robbers. The robbers, however, decide to just plow into her fucking car with the sonic cannon and completely flip it over. And not only does it flip over on its roof, it's now on fire. Because this is Grand Theft Auto. And when you flip your car over, it catches fire. But now John is starting to notice, I recognize the weaponry that's being used here.
Those are my weapons.
The fuck is going on? I wish they had allowed him one precision F strike in this movie. And it would have been in this coming moment that I will explain. As the robbers are getting away and John is pulling his ex-girlfriend's now dead body out of her police cruiser,
Jesus.
He looks over and they realize that one of the bank robbers didn't make it out of the bank yet, and his boys left him. So as he comes stumbling out of the bank to see, oh, there was a gunfight and explosions, and now there's this big fucking dude staring me down from across the street. And they do this zoom in on Shaq's face as he's looking over his shoulder at him, and he just says, "It's on now."
Yeah, there you go. That's the Shaq catchphrase right there. From this, one of them, it's on now. That was fantastic. That was great.
And listeners, I'm going to tell you right now, it was not on.
No, it was barely on.
No.
Hardly on at all.
This is one of the worst chase scenes you'll ever
Now
see.
we are going to get into the 10-minute
It's the long
foot
scene.
chase scene in which John Henry Irons tries to run down this bank robber down an alleyway, over fences, and through a train yard.
Wow.
A slow-moving train yard.
And this is one of the points in the movie where I'm like, you know, you would think a big guy like that, like he could move pretty quick. He probably can. But when you're filming that guy run, it just looks so
and
fucking
you're filming
awkward.
it over and over and over again.
And he's getting tired.
And you've got,
so slow.
And you've got him in like fucking size 18 Timbs. He's not gonna move quick.
No, he's
I'm
not
doing
moving
this
quick.
run twice, and that's it.
Now, this is where the whole concept about Shaq's height and weight comes into effect.
Yes.
When they were making this movie, they ran into a major problem.
Yeah.
That production could not find a stunt double that could realistically double for 7'2", 300-pound Shaquille O'Neal. So Shaq had to do all of his own stunts in this movie.
God,
Well, and didn't they only had like a few weeks to film with him because of all his commitments,
They had
right?
5 weeks to film with him.
Jesus.
Because he was in the middle of going to, I don't even remember where it was that they had the 96 Olympics.
Yeah, he was in the one that was in Atlanta.
It was in
Okay,
Atlanta.
so
That's right.
he had to leave to go to Atlanta for the 96 Olympics, and when he came back, he was in the midst of training with the LA Lakers for the upcoming season.
And that was going to be in Hawaii.
And that was,
Right.
so apparently, when it came to that, he read the entirety of this script once before he left for Atlanta. And then by the time he came back and he was getting ready to actually shoot, he apparently had been working with an acting coach.
Oh, he did he?
Well, here's why. By the time they were ready to shoot, he had memorized all of his lines.
Wow.
That's it.
That's the acting coach. Can you remember this?
Yeah, there was no work on emoting or line delivery.
No.
He just knew the words he had to say when he had to say them.
Memorization.
We should definitely touch on his acting by the end. We'll touch on it.
Yes, we will. Back to the foot chase.
It's still going.
It's still going.
We're watching the movie.
I was going to say it's still going, even if you guys are watching along with us.
Yeah, the kid's not running very fast.
He's
either,
not
which
running.
Is hilarious.
They both jump. They both climb the barbed wire fence.
Yes.
And the barbed wire is not acknowledged that they both just climbed over the barbed wire.
They never show you. They just
wait a
I
minute.
also love
How
the
did they
guy.
do that?
There's the guy who's working in the train yard who sees the bank robber hop the fence and is running over, just like, hey, this is a restricted area. Hey, you can't be doing that. And so the moment he gets over the fence and the guy gets near him, bank robber fucking sucker punches his ass out and drops him on one of the train tracks.
Yep, as the train is approaching.
So, of course, now, good boy John Henry Irons, when he gets over that fence, and it takes him some time to get over that fence, he has to go pulling this guy off the track just before a slow-moving train car crushes his head.
Well, it would have been a much better... You've already established that Shaq, John Henry Irons, is strong.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of having him climb over the fence, because it just looks weird, this tall guy climbing over, just have him rip the fence apart.
Well, he did do it once.
Earlier on, when the kid first goes jumping or goes like sliding in between two fences that are chained together, he just rips one of the doors off of the fence,
right,
and keeps going after him.
Does he have superpowers? What is happening here?
So
He's just that
it is
strong?
at this point that it is established that he is inhumanly strong.
He should have just stopped the train by standing in front of it.
I was going to say, I was expecting in this scene to have a moment where he was going to be standing on the track and one of the cars was going to be coming at him and he was going to fucking put two hands out and stop that shit in its tracks.
That was too far for these movie makers. That's too
I
much.
actually legitimately do think he's a very strong man. So
so all that stuff he probably could do. Yeah,
I think it just would have been him climbing over the barbed wire fence after that point was like, what are you doing?
I would have rather seen him just grab onto the chain link and rip it in half like it's a Hulk Hogan t-shirt.
Absolutely. You've already established, as you mentioned, that he's just a strong dude.
So anyway,
and he's fucking Shaq at 7 feet, 350 pounds.
So he's narrowly catching up to this bank robber when the bank robber decides, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use this super space weapon that I have to try and kill this son of a bitch. And so he fires at him with a few Roman candles, but they don't hit and they don't do anything. So instead, he uses the sonic cannon to completely flip a train car over on top of Shaq. But he is able to get out of the way just in time to get inside of the train car. And so the bank robber takes off, and Shaq comes climbing up out of the train car and sees him running off.
Did he climb or did he just stand up? I think he just stood up.
He might have just stood up, but they show him having to push his way through the door on the other side of it.
He just stood up. He's so tall. This is so cartoony. In my head, I heard cartoon noises when he hits the train car and it falls over, and you see Shaq roll. In my head, I just hear whoop, doop, 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 and he's rolling.
Very much.
He
Buster Keatons his way out of getting crushed by a train car. And so the kid takes off at a run, and Shaq sees him taking off and is just like, damn. But then the next scene, the kid is at a loading dock for some factory, and Shaq appears out of the goddamn shadows. And grabs him and pushes him up against a wall and wants to know, where'd you get the weapons at? The kid won't tell him, and one of his buddies finally comes back and shoots Shaq with one of the laser guns, knocking him to the ground. And I hate to inform you, listeners, but it turns out that it was not on this evening.
It was not on at all.
That was a scene where I'm like, these weapons suck.
That was the thing, I was so convinced that they were killing the cops with the guns that when they shot him and he was just like, ugh, and falls over and just lays there, I'm like, so did he have it set to stun?
These are just stun guns. Well, they have LED lights on and fucking switches you could buy a Radio Shack.
I mean, Shaq's not even wearing anything. He's not even wearing a t-shirt. He's not wearing the steel thing yet.
No, it was a t-shirt. What is the point of building the suit? This shit didn't hurt you.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I thought it was going to be on Shaq.
So that is also the point when we meet my favorite character in this whole fucking movie, and that is Slats, the leader of whatever street gang they're pretending these people are a part of.
Yeah, well, they can't use red or blue, so they went with purple.
It's purple gang colors.
They went with.
They can't be
let's just
blood or
combine
Crips.
red and blue and get purple.
Well, if they shot in South Central and they're wearing fucking blue and red, they would have had other problems.
Right. So they just combined the colors.
Well, and we'll get into the problems they ran into when it came to filming in South Central.
Yeah.
after this has happened, we then get to a moment where Shaq is on a payphone out on the street talking to his former commander in the army, Colonel David, played by Charles Napier. Now, if you don't recognize that name, you will recognize his face as the guy who plays the Colonel in everything.
He's the guy who's always in Rambo, in Silence of the Lambs.
He is always in a position of authority with some sort of like military or police background.
This man always plays somebody who knows the codes to drop the bomb.
Dude, Murdoch from Rambo First Blood Part 2. That's where I remember this guy's face from.
He's on the phone essentially demanding to know how it was that this street gang stole top secret army weapons. And Colonel David is letting him know that all of our weapons are accounted for. They couldn't possibly have stolen them from us. And Shaq gets angry and he hangs the phone up so hard it rips the entire phone out of the box and it falls to the ground. And I need everyone, if you can find it, please find this scene. Because it includes one of the greatest reactions from an extra in a movie I have ever seen. There is just one white guy walking down the sidewalk who stops at his tracks the moment that Shaq does this. And as Shaq walks out of frame, this guy stands frozen in fear, staring at the phone.
We literally just talked about how he's like superhuman in some scenes, and then some other scenes are like, why wasn't he more superhuman?
It's like he can't possibly be bothered to be superhumanly strong when it's needed,
right.
But he'll fuck up your payphone. He decides that if he's not going to get an answer from the army, because apparently the army is hiding something from him, instead what he's going to go ahead and do is he is going to go and he's going to find the street gang that did this. It's literally the next day after the robbery. And he gets Martin to tell him who the gang is based on their colors. I did not write down the name of the gang. It doesn't fucking matter.
No, it doesn't.
And here we go. He tracks them down to the pool hall that they hang out at, where he confronts Slats, the greatest fucking character in this movie.
You gotta be evil if you have an eye patch.
My guy has an eye patch. Half of a diamond grill of teeth.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
And he's wearing a fucking S&M harness for no reason. This dude fucks. So he shows up at the pool hall demanding to know where it was that they got the weapons. Slats is telling him, ain't got no weapons, man. And don't come around here anymore asking any of your dumb questions. And so he goes to try and get pushy with one of the other guys. They all pull knives and guns on him. He backs up, but he decides to break one of their pool cues in half with one hand to let them know he means business, because, they're going to be seeing him again. And he storms out of the pool hall and shoves some random guy on the sidewalk out of the way.
I remember
that guy had to do with anything?
What the fuck did that guy do?
Yeah.
That guy's not even wearing purple. He's just some guy.
He's just walking by.
Get the hell out of my way.
Hey, what did I do? Watch where you're going.
So,
oh my god.
At this point,
wait, another point. At this point,
yeah,
you're like, Shaq was clearly there at the crime scene. You know, he's not like he's very recognizable human being.
Yes,
he just came down to your pool hall and like threatened you. You guys should just kill this man.
Yeah.
Just shoot him right there.
It's one of those things where it's one of the amazing things that you get in these types of movies, where it's the weird plot armor of villains who for some reason are not going to stoop to murder when it comes to the main character.
Right.
Where it's like, you have established these guys are hardened criminals who will rob banks with super lasers and shoot the police.
Right.
But when some big dumb asshole comes knocking on their door, going, where'd you get those guns from?
They don't do anything.
That you're like, nah, man, I'm going to let him walk away because I don't think he'll ever try to cause trouble here.
Oh, it gets worse. Well, I'll get into it.
Oh, yeah. So, the truth be told, there's very little that goes on with Burke throughout, like, the rest of this movie until we get to the end.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, he's just making guns.
Every so often we find out that there are more and more weapons being made, that they are building a website, that he has finally gotten Martin to come in,
and we're alluding to the internet as his awful
great.
I love my favorite. My favorite was the line when he looks at Big Will and he goes, "What about our website?" And he goes, it'll be another week before it's online. I was like, oh, the 90s.
Yeah.
It's going to take you a week to build that website? Dude, it can't even be that complicated. You've got GeoCities.
It's one HTML page with a table, man. Just get it up.
But he's basically planning out that there's going to be a second big showing of what they're going to do with these weapons. At one point, Slats calls him to tell him, like, oh, yeah, this big, dumb guy came around asking where we got our weapons. Is he going to be a problem? And Burke just tells him, no. Don't worry about him.
Don't worry about him. He won't come back.
It's not a thing. He goes, okay. And then also, I don't know if this was in the script or if the actor, Hill Harper, made a character choice that Slats doesn't eat pork.
Oh, yeah. That line
but
is
he will
hilarious.
eat turkey when he's told that a hot dog is a turkey dog. It included one of my favorite lines, because apparently after they did the heist, he and his boys bought a bunch of gold jewelry and new clothing when he went to go meet up with Burke about, don't worry about John Henry Irons, and we're going to need you boys again soon for another job. He's like, great, what does it pay? A lot. Cool. And he tells him, essentially, like, it's like Goodfellas. He tells him, like, don't be spending that money.
Right.
Don't go buying yourself, like, fancy jewelry. And so he tells him, you got to be smart, and you can't underestimate your enemy, he says, while he tells him don't even bother worrying about John Henry Irons. And then tells him, you should eat the hot dog, Slats. Don't be the hot dog.
Yes, that's one of my favorite
and
lines.
Walks away.
He goes, eat the hot dog. Don't be the hot dog. I'm like, that's just solid advice right there.
Yeah, it's a good one. John has decided he needs to do something about this, and if the army's not going to do anything, and if he can't get the answers out of the gang by asking forcefully, I guess, he's going to need another plan, and that plan means he's going to need the only other person that knows about these weapons. He needs Sparky.
Sparks.
But it turns out Sparks is now toiling away in a veterans hospital in St. Louis, lost in a deep depression about the fact that she will never be able to walk again and is in a wheelchair. A wheelchair that apparently John bought for her and sent to her, which means he knew that this was going to happen. She has stopped writing to him, apparently, maybe not even reading his letters. I find it funny that he was apparently writing to her, but he needed to have the hospital that he thought she was in tell him that she transferred to a different hospital. St. Louis. And so he flies out to St. Louis, and he tries to talk her into helping him, but she's too gone in her self-pity, so he Superman punches a window open.
Why are you breaking windows, Shaq? Come on, this is property destruction.
Because those windows were dirty. So now you can see outside properly, but it doesn't matter if you can see outside or not, because he's going to kidnap this woman. And my favorite thing that I learned from this movie is not only can you easily kidnap a veteran of the military out of a veterans hospital with no one stopping you, especially if you're as big as Shaquille O'Neal, but all of the other veterans in the hospital are going to cheer for you as you steal this person against their will.
That one was when everyone starts clapping, I'm like, I was going, do they know what are they rooting for?
I think the worst part of it is that they are literally building on the idea that this veterans hospital is basically the mental institution from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, they're not all here because they have like crippling personality disorders. That guy just lost an arm.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah, they definitely play up the fact that like these guys are all mentally screwed up.
And it's like, they're definitely gonna have some issues because they came back from active duty. By the way, it was 1997. I don't know where the hell they were in active duty at.
What war was that? That's a good point.
But
Kosovo? I don't know.
Anyway, he kidnaps this woman and flies her back to Los Angeles.
Well, I love he just picks her up in the wheelchair like it's nothing and just
doesn't even like push her out. He carries her and the chair.
If you're going to be a little more efficient, just push her out.
She's got wheels, Shaq. What are you doing?
And again, why is everyone clapping? Are they rooting for they were probably like, this girl was the biggest bee ever. I needed to get her the hell out of here.
Get her out of here. We're so glad she's leaving.
just sits there staring and making us feel bad.
She looks at the dirty window all the time.
But yeah, they decided that this had to be like the ending of Officer and a Gentleman.
It was.
So they wind up back
strange.
in Los Angeles because apparently he also, pre 9/11, he was able to kidnap her, get her on a plane, and take her over state lines, and nobody cared.
Pre 9/11, yes,
Yeah.
this is, you could get away with a lot.
You can get away with all this.
Yes.
Big black man kidnaps a white woman. No one pays attention. Oh God. Now I made myself sad. Here we go. So back in Los Angeles, he brings her to Uncle Joe's scrapyard.
Yeah, it's like, at that point, I'm like, this is worse.
Yeah,
It's always a
he broke her out of a veterans hospital to drop her in the middle of a fucking dump.
junkyard. A junkyard. By the way, Uncle Joe, Richard Roundtree, he's my favorite character in this movie. I love him in this.
Richard Roundtree is fucking having a ball in
He's
this movie.
so much fun to watch.
But they bring her back. He apparently waited until they got to this junkyard in Los Angeles to explain to her what he brought her here for. And even then, he's like super vague about it. It's like, yeah, we're going to do something about these secret, top secret weapons being on the streets, and I need your help. Okay, what do you need me to do? Write me a list of everything you need. Okay, the police. But we established that Uncle Joe just creates found art from things in the junkyard, but Uncle Joe also steals shit from people.
Right.
Apparently he steals shit from people to do his found art. So I don't know if that's found anymore.
Like high-end computer motherboards that
so
fell off a truck.
He's in the middle of stealing everything that she needs to basically be his oracle.
Yeah,
which
she's Oracle.
They do comment. I did see somewhere, I forget where, that they did say that her character was based off of Oracle from the comics.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
But they decide that they're going to take matters into their own hands to get these weapons back. And so Shaq, having, I guess, stolen a metal, like a steel forge from
the mill?
From the mill that he worked at for one day.
Wait, how do you steal a fucking forge from a mill? Isn't this...
Uncle Joe gets what he needs.
That's, I guess.
I'm not even that. How did he become just a fucking blacksmith all of a sudden?
How's he a metal? He's a weapons designer. How does he know how to melt metal?
You know what? I had to look deep into this, and it turns out in order to be part of the weapons programs in the U.S. military, you have to smelt iron.
Get the fuck out. Are you serious?
No, I'm not at all, Imran.
That
Fuck
is a
you.
weird requirement. I don't know why they would make you do that.
fucking him.
So yeah, he's apparently a blacksmith now, and he is crafting himself a steel suit.
Yay!
And this is the first time that we see, by the way, he's got a big-ass fucking tattoo on his arm.
Yep.
Of the Superman logo that says Man of Steel
There it
on
is.
it.
There it is. The only, I think the only reference in the whole movie to Superman.
Oh, there's one more later on.
There is.
So odd that they didn't like black out, like do something with that tattoo.
Yeah. But they decided that they were going to now go into the montage for the second act.
Montage!
Of him making his suit and Sparky building her command center, all set to a gospel song that is constantly repeating the line, "Steal yourself."
Yes, this was the best ever. He is making steel armor, and they're singing "Steal Yourself." I thought that song was great. It was a great gospel song.
I literally had to write in my notes, did they write a steel gospel song for this movie?
I feel like that song existed before.
You know, when I finally was like actually reading the lyrics, I'm like, oh, I think this is right. I think this is a real thing. They decided they were clever.
Yeah. It's like a Zack Snyder move there. They're singing "Steal Yourself," and he's stealing himself.
Yeah, I wrote, did John quit his job? Because he sure as shit ain't going back to work.
No matter. This is a superhero film.
Yeah.
The foreman's like, everybody see John around? What happened?
So they finally get to a point where it seems like everything is built. They have everything that they need. And Sparky says, tonight's the night. We're going to have to try everything out. And she's showing him some of the things that she has for him, including a tiny video camera that it has my favorite reaction Shaquille O'Neal gives of this entire movie.
Yes.
Where he looks right at it and goes, oh, cool. Video.
It's big teeth. You see his big teeth there.
And so she also gives him an earpiece that is a transceiver so they can talk back and forth within a 20-mile radius. Now, I said to myself, they made sure to tell us the radius of this because at some point he's going to wind up outside of a 20-mile range.
And does he?
Not once.
No. Nope. There's no point in mentioning the 20-mile radius.
Doesn't matter. That detail never mattered.
No.
But he decides, okay, well, if everything is ready and tonight's the night that we're going to try it out, then I have to craft the last piece. And by which he means he just has to take his helmet out of the forge. And they really want that helmet to be a big fucking deal when they reveal it. And when they reveal it, it's just this red hot molten piece of fucking metal. So you can't even really tell the shape of it. But Richard Roundtree comments, man, you made yourself into a man of steel now. And we are officially into the superhero part of this movie.
We got
and
steel.
I have to say, the superhero parts of this movie are worse than the rest of the movie.
Oh, shit.
Lame.
Somehow, this superhero movie is more fun when the superhero's not doing his superhero thing. So they decide the first thing that he's going to do when he's out on his first patrol as Steel is he's going to Batman a mugger.
Let me comment real quick here on his helmet.
Yep.
He looks like that helmet. He looks like the Undertaker when the Undertaker broke his face in like 1997.
He absolutely does.
Or 96 or whatever that was.
My other favorite thing about that helmet is that this is supposed to be a suit he forged out of steel.
Yeah.
That helmet flexes and bends whenever he moves his mouth.
Floppy jock.
It's made out of felt. Yeah, it's
also this movie came out a couple of years later, but he also kind of reminded me of when in Jason X when Jason becomes Space Jason.
When he becomes the giant Uber Jason.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm like, what is with this mask? Anyways, go ahead.
So a mugger mugs a rich couple and steals like their money, and he goes running off into an alleyway to try and check out what he got. And we are now in a very, very quaint Tim Burton-esque moment of the original Batman, where while the mugger is going through the things, you just hear this voice booming out from an alleyway. I don't think you should have done that. And so, as he comes just cludging his way out of an alleyway through this random steam vent that's coming up out of the grates, we get to see the steel suit in all of its glory. And this motherfucker looks like RoboCop. If RoboCop was made out of foam.
It's an amazing cosplay costume.
Another point in the movie where you go, yep, Shaq is just way too big. That's not believable that he could just be hiding in the shadows like that.
Yeah, the fact that he's pulling like stealthy Batman shit is bullshit.
Plus, we're supposed to believe this 7-foot, 300-pound man is now wearing 75 pounds of armor and still moving around like there's nothing on.
The only thing I find
I believe that.
The only thing I find that he did believably in this movie is when he was in that suit, he walked like he was carrying an iron suit because he could not move his fucking joints.
Did the RoboCop walk? Yeah.
So he bullies this mugger. He takes the money back and he leaves him like hanging from his collar 8 feet off the ground in the alleyway.
I love that the guy's hanging, right?
Yeah.
And there's like an arrow in his jacket and he can't like reach the arrow.
Well,
it's
he can't reach to the arrow, and apparently the fabric of his shirt doesn't tear when his entire body weight is hanging from it.
Yeah, both things. There's something wrong with both because you could clearly grab the arrow out of your fucking.
Absolutely.
But anyways, go ahead.
So Shaq then returns the money and stolen goods to this rich white couple, apologizes to them on the behest of the citizens of South Central, and then heroically rides away on an escalator.
But yeah, he steps backwards, facing forward, and just goes up. It's so bad and weird and funny.
It's one of those moments where I'm like, this is either really stupid or fucking brilliant.
Exactly.
And I cannot be certain which it is.
Me neither.
But he's so jazzed up on the fact that he stopped this mugger that when he hears that there is gang violence going on in a different section of South Central, he needs to be a part of it. So he takes off, and a homeless man who saw him in his suit talking to himself decides, I need to stop hitting the bottle. Because it is 1955. So we get to this gang warfare that is happening, and apparently a few guys from, I believe it was the Purple Gang, are being chased down by nameless Latino gang, who are all hanging outside of their lowrider car, firing at them with Uzis. And so Shaq shows up, and he gets bullets shot at him, and they bounce off of his suit, and then he fires, he takes the hammer. I forgot to mention the hammer.
Yeah, there's a hammer.
Oh, yeah, he's got a giant hammer.
So he has a giant steel sledgehammer that was built by Uncle Joe and Sparky to give to him. This is where we get both a reference to Richard Roundtree's career as well as the only gay joke in the movie, in which they say they built the hammer for him, and Richard Roundtree says, I'm a big fan of the shaft.
Oh,
And they both look at him, and he goes,
And they look at him.
He's like,
he goes,
what?
And I picked up immediately on the fact that this was a 90s gay joke. It took me a minute to realize it was also a reference to the fact that Richard Roundtree was Shaft.
That's what, I don't think it was a gay joke. It was the reference to Shaft.
I think it was both.
Shaft.
It is absolutely both.
Did he also...
Is that called a double entendre or something?
Something like that, whatever, you know.
entendre.
It's bad.
Yeah.
Did he do the dipped in shit line at this point? That's my favorite line in the whole movie.
I believe that was during this moment when he's getting attacked by the gang.
He's like, dip me in shit and roll me in breadcrumbs. I'm going to start using that. It's a fantastic saying.
It's I guarantee you, I hope to God that was an ad lib by Roundtree.
I think we should bring that back.
But so he gets, I cannot remember any really details of this scene. The best I can get to are he fights this gang. He shows that his hammer is also a laser gun and a sonic gun, but also it has a super powerful magnet in it.
Oh, that shit is hilarious.
That then just pulls anything that's metal in from like a 300-foot radius around him. So he takes everybody's guns and even some people's like jewelry.
And then a garbage can lid and a hubcap also come flying towards him.
Also gets stuck to him.
It's the red collar on the hammer, a very important detail.
So they decide, okay, well, now that he took our guns, we're all just going to run away and get out of here. So the gangs all take off, and the cops show up. And this is like the first of 4 times where Sparky tells him that he's about to have the blues.
The blues!
And so we now have to have our obligatory superhero runs away from the cops chase.
Very Batman.
Oh, jeez. This is also a very slow chase.
It absolutely is. This is another one that takes 10 to 15 minutes.
You ever seen a 7-foot, 300-pound man ride a motorcycle? It doesn't go very fast.
I like, I'm just going to jump ahead real quick, but I like when they have him surrounded, and he's like, he's got nowhere to go. And he shoots the fucking rappel gun, whatever the hell that
the grappling
gun, grappling gun, and he goes up so goddamn slow.
With one knee up.
I have written in here, when the cops show up and there's a few of them and they're pointing their guns at him, they're like, put your hands up, put them way up. And he uses the grappling gun, and he very slowly starts to ascend up the building. And the cops are just staring at him like, what?
The white bald cop is just like, well, he did put his hands up.
Well, I guess he put them way up.
That's way up.
It's just like, I did not I expected a Batman thing where he's like, and like goes real
Not
quick,
the
and
slow
oh my god, it is so
and that's the problem
goddamn slow.
because Shaq is so big, and they cannot risk injuring him in any way making this movie.
Yeah.
He is going at a snail's pace up the side of this building.
That's a good point. I forgot that he was actively in the NBA and 375 pounds.
So they can't hurt him. And do you think that pose was his idea? He's slowly going up. He's like, maybe I should put my knee up. That looks like a superhero.
It's like this badass superhero on flying pose.
Really slowly.
Like it's a very vague, like Superman-esque flying pose.
It's so
but
funny.
he can't lift his knee.
No.
And so he then struggles to get over the top of the roof to finally get on the roof.
I don't know how he pulls himself up over anything.
and he flat-foot stomps his way across the roof to then see, I've got to jump to the next roof. And it's like 8.9 meters from roof to roof, because apparently the camera that he has in his helmet is also hooked up to the computer Sparky has, and she's running diagnostics
of course,
in real time on what's being picked up by the camera. And she's telling him, you can't make that jump. You're going to die. You'll never make it. And he's like, I'm going to make it. And he runs and he jumps and he doesn't make it. He just narrowly grabs onto like a heating pipe on the side of the building. And he makes the comment of, that's one for the computer. He finally gets himself up onto the next roof, and by this point, the cops are already on the roof. They've taken the stairs, and they've caught up with his ass. So he goes cludging his way across this second roof and decides, I gotta get out of here. So he jumps off the side of the other roof, and all the cops are, oh my God, he jumped off the roof. But it turns out that he's now very slowly descending down the building with his grappling gun. But he's too big, and the tensile strength of the wire gives, and he falls 80 feet into some garbage.
Oh, thank God there was a garbage thing there.
But by this point, his suit is falling apart off of him. Like
falling apart, and he's like trying to hold on.
He's like
to all
trying
the
to keep it on him.
Like,
one
I need that. And he
one of
picks
the
it up.
leg pieces fully came off. The shoulder completely came undone. Like it literally looks like the costume in the movie like wasn't on correctly.
Yep.
And they ruined it in the stunt. We're like, we don't have time for another take. We gotta go. Suit's falling apart.
Leave it. It's fine. Just have him pick up the pieces and leave.
So he goes running off, and he just he gets on a motorcycle that he had stashed over in this alleyway. Never once established before right now. Which means...
He's got motorcycles in every alleyway.
It means he parked that bike there, and then he hoofed his giant ass
4 buildings
3
over.
blocks over to where the gang fight was. Expecting that he would then hoof his giant ass 3 blocks back to get on his motorcycle.
Sometimes it's just exhausting watching him move.
It is. Oh my God. It's like I feel tired for him.
Yes.
So he gets on the motorcycle. We now have the cops chasing the motorcycle. It's cops in cars and cops in a helicopter. And he's having Sparky hack the streetlights so that they're green.
Oh, yeah.
And even then, like, that doesn't stop the fact that he runs several red lights. It's not going to stop the cops from chasing after you. Because you know what happens when you get a green light, but there's a cop with their lights and sirens still going through the intersection? You don't go. But apparently, in this movie, and I'll say this, never lived in LA, especially not in South Central, I'm going to assume everyone decides, fuck the police.
I'm driving.
And I'm going on green. He finally is able to outrun them enough and dodge around that he gets back to the bat cave that is this fucking junkyard. And he rides in through a secret entrance in the fence and then rides up into the junk pile that is actually like his command center, and they hide from the cops. And I get the greatest line in the history of cinema when the 2 cops chasing him get out of the car and look around, and the one black cop goes, "Son of a butt! Where'd he go?" And I went back. And I had to read it.
He says son of a buck.
And it is son of a butt.
A butt?
A butt.
Oh, it's son of a... Not even buck. I thought he said buck.
No, it is son of a butt.
It is son of a butt. I remember hearing that.
And he has narrowly escaped the police.
The other cop goes... He goes, where did he go? The other cop goes, the bat cave?
Not funny.
This is the worst, so stupid joke. It's so bad.
So at this point, I guess we get a moment where we're catching up with Burke, and he's decided they're going to go ahead and they're going to do their second big robbery. I'm going to try and speed it up. We've been spending a lot of time with this movie. There's a second robbery. The same gang does it. It's been a few days, and Steele shows up. In the midst of this, he gets into a gunfight with the gang. They all have the same fucking guns. This whole entire thing is being secretly recorded by Burke. Cops show up. The gang blows up the police helicopter. It almost falls on one of the cops, but Steele saves him. And then he runs off to go try and chase down the gang. But I guess they get away. Burke takes this video footage and he starts sending it out to all of the news sources anonymously. That's basically being used as advertising to anyone who will be able to see it. Hey, we've got these guns and I know where you can buy them. On the internet. It's going to be an auction. Meanwhile, he has also found a way to try and get steel out of his hair by framing him for being one of the gang members who has these guns.
Uh-oh.
Or I guess framing him as this man is definitely Steel, and he was the one who blew up your police helicopter.
Wait, pause right here. This is a point in the movie where I'm going, Shaq is too fucking big. How the fuck does no one know,
Yes, that it's him.
not know that the man in that steel costume is John Irons?
Especially-
There's only one man that is that size.
They're even
walking
saying,
around.
like, it's been days, he's now like a folk hero to the people of South Central.
Yeah.
And they all know that it is a black man who is 7'3" from this neighborhood. And there is one black man who's 7'3" and lives in this neighborhood. And everyone's like, nah.
I wonder who it is.
And it's like not really clear. I mean, it seems like the Bender knows who it is.
Well, he always
but they
did.
don't but they don't. He doesn't really. But it's also like kind of vague that he they don't really hint at like he knows who it is because
You should know.
It's fucking. You should know. Everyone should know who the hell this guy is.
Anyone who has ever met John Henry Irons should immediately go, that's who's under that fucking mask.
That guy.
Look at those goddamn teeth.
Yeah.
You're telling me that 2 7'3" guys with lazy eyes in this neighborhood, and one of them's a superhero and the other one isn't?
Oh, shit.
Yes.
So he calls the police and he tells them that John Henry Irons is Steel and that they will find one of the super secret laser guns in his grandmother's house. So the SWAT team bursts into the house while he's there with Grandma, again ruining her souffle.
She'll never get this souffle right.
And he beats the shit out of like 4 SWAT cops before they finally get him.
He's just tossing him around.
Yeah, that scene. I'm like, wait, is this Bender's gang?
And that's what I thought.
These are SWAT
It's
cops
like
he's fighting.
It's just dudes in generic like SWAT military gear coming in, and he's just throwing them around, and they're walking in the back door one at a time.
Right.
Until finally, like, one of them's like, you're under arrest. And I saw, like, oh, he's got, like, SWAT on his hat. So, like, oh, it's actually cops. So he gets arrested. They're trying to pin all of this on him, but the sweet couple that he saved earlier on refused to point him out in a lineup because, you know, he was on the right side of the law.
That was nice of them.
The only time I've ever seen a movie where 2 old white people did not point out a black man in a lineup.
It's progressive. You got to give it that for 1997. Very
Number
progressive.
2, the cop he saved during the robbery also refuses to point him out.
Yep.
So they've got nothing on him. And apparently they can't prove that he's Steel.
Just look at him.
No chance. No video evidence that this motherfucker.
So they have him in holding, at which point he pulls the fucking earpiece that he put in his mouth when he got arrested out and puts it in his ear.
That was nasty. I was like, ew, what does that taste like now? You put it in your mouth.
I know. But then he just immediately starts talking out loud to Sparky about how am I going to get out of here? So now everyone in the jail thinks he is batshit insane.
Right. Yeah. Everyone comes to the conclusion that he's just insane when he's like clearly
Talking to
making
someone.
plans to get out.
He's outright talking to someone about how are you going to get me out of prison.
Guy's nuts.
We then get what I think is honestly a pretty clever way to get him out of prison.
Yeah.
Where they Sparky and Uncle Joe go to the district attorney.
Yep.
Sign over a package that just turns out to be a publisher's clearinghouse sweepstakes envelope. But they have him sign on an electric pad that they can then steal his signature and forge it later on. They then also call him up and use voice mapping technology to be able to deep fake his voice.
So you could do that now, but like the signature capture technology, that was like really ahead of their time too. I don't know if they didn't really have that.
So they then have Sparky call the police department, posing as the DA, claiming that they need to have John Henry released immediately. And don't worry, we're faxing over something from my office. My signature's on it. It's all clear and ready to go. So bing, bang, boom. John Henry Irons is a free fucking man.
Just in time.
Just in time, because guess what? While he is in prison, the website that they miraculously also found for these guns that Burke is selling has gone live to let people know that it's going to be an auction and they will be giving out the location for it, like within the hour before the auction goes down. So that's going to be real difficult for people like the Spanish cartel, or the random like French terrorists.
French terrorist.
Probably not so. I mean, maybe not so difficult for the neo-Nazis, who have a great line about how one of them doesn't understand how they're going to be able to buy these guns off the internet. And the guy who's using the computer says, like, oh, yeah, you can get a whole bunch of stuff off the internet now. Not just porno. So John gets out of prison. They finally get the location of this warehouse where the drop or the auction is going to be. So he and Uncle Joe are heading off in the van that they have.
Steelmobile. I don't know.
With, by the way, never brought it up before, but very integral to the part, Joe's dog, Lily.
Always there with them. That golden retriever is adorable. I was like, oh, look at that doggo.
Was even part of one of the free throw gags for Shaquille O'Neal when he tried to throw a towel into a trash can and it landed on the dog's face.
That's great.
So they head out and they get to this warehouse. While they're heading out, it seems that Burke's men have tracked down Sparky and their lair, and they've cut off the radio feed to her. And this doesn't bug them at all. He realizes that the radio feed went out. Joe comments, maybe we're out of range. Shaq says we're not. And then they just keep driving.
Oh, well.
So they get to the warehouse. They decide they're going to sneak up and try and stop this auction. And Shaq tells Uncle Joe to head back to the truck and keep trying to raise Sparky. And if he can't, get in touch with Colonel David, who apparently they've brought in on their plan at some point before, I guess. But now we know. So, with how much I have commented on how poorly Shaquille O'Neal moves his body around in this movie, I at least appreciate that they have decided to make sure that he is not stealthy at all. Because he tries to sneak his giant ass into this warehouse, is found immediately.
He's not hiding. He can't hide.
And the one guy who finds him just goes, hey. And when he turns around, he shoots him with the sonic gun and blasts him through a window that drops him on the ground in front of the entire auction. Now, one of the big things is that Burke is here. He's now dressed like a Bond villain.
Yeah.
Which I love that touch, but the problem is even in Bond villain attire, Judd Nelson just can't be bothered to act in this movie. And, like, I get it, man. At a deep point, I get it. But I'm also a shameless clown of a person. So, like, fucking give me something. Like, this is the problem, is you're in a comic book movie, and you're acting like a legitimate rapist. And that's not okay for where we are. So he says he's going to give a demonstration of his weaponry. And he brings in Slats and his gang. And says, well, these were the guys who used the weapons when we did the heist, and they've served their purpose. And he shoots Slats in the gut.
Oh, no.
But it doesn't kill him.
These guns don't kill.
It is literally as deadly as just getting shot with a bullet.
None of the people there had raised their hand and be like, do these guns kill? Because so far we haven't seen it kill anybody.
We have not seen these guns deliver a single kill. And I'm going to assume that was a studio note. So he shoots Slats in the gut, and he's injured. And his gang is there, but now they're all just standing there, watching Slats bleed all over the Humvee that they drove in on, as Burke is talking about, like, I'm going to be selling these weapons, and who among you doesn't want my weaponry when everyone else starts buying it? Can you really run that risk? And suddenly everyone's like, I'll buy it, I want it, I definitely want it, we're Nazis! And Steele stands up and comments that those guns, they're not as powerful. They're not, they're not up to the highest power setting. They're not nearly as powerful as my hammer. And it was this moment when pit fell out of my stomach.
It's so bad.
And I said, are they making this movie the literal story of John Henry?
John Henry and his hammer.
He's going to pit his hammer versus new technology? Fuck you. You don't get to have that. But they do. Yeah. And so Burke takes the hammer. I forgot to mention a while back, the first time he uses the sonic cannon on it, he does comment that it's hammer time.
Oh, yes, he has that other great line. It's hammer time.
But so he tells him that the red switch on the top of his hammer, it will turn up the power setting to a much higher and more deadly setting. But Burke shouldn't do that. That'll be be bad.
So bad.
We all know what the red switch does.
Burke, being a fucking chump, switches the red switch, and it turns on the electromagnet, and now all of the guns and everything start sticking to him.
He makes a line that he's like, I gotta do it. Or like I gotta test it
push
out.
I have to push the envelope.
Yeah, he's like,
right. And it's just so bad. You are the damn dumbest smart man in the fucking world.
You have built and created technology that does not exist, but you are also a fucking moron.
How did you get this far?
So it turns on the electromagnet. Bunch of guns all come flying around. Bedlam ensues now, and it is an all-out war. Now it's Burke and his guys getting into gunfights with the gang, as well as with Steel. We've also, I forgot to tell you, have established at this point that they've rolled Sparky out to show that she's been kidnapped.
They got her.
I don't know how they picked her up, got her back to the warehouse, and held her hostage there while Steel was already on his way to the warehouse. Like, they had to pass him on the fucking freeway.
Hey, isn't that Sparky in that van?
So she's there. By the way, she's in this brand new decked out electric wheelchair that they've been working on. And so the bedlam ensues, and now it's a gunfight, and he's going to help out Sparky, and she's helping him out because she built fucking guns into her wheelchair.
I love her wheelchair. I love this moment.
So she's spinning in circles, shooting people with wheelchair guns. It is the fucking coolest thing.
It's a great wheelchair.
And so then he's like, you gotta get out of here. And so she says, okay, and she punches it with the boosters built into the back of her wheelchair so she can just drive really fast through the middle of a gunfight.
Hopefully I won't get shot. Let's go.
With no armor or anything whatsoever.
Huge fucking target just going 10 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's going faster.
Through the middle of a fucking gunfight.
Not really that fast, but she's got a rocket engine on it now or something, yeah.
One of the goons tried to jump Uncle Joe, got jumped by Lily instead, and then Uncle Joe beat him up. So now he came running up to the warehouse. He's there. Burke disappears and comes back out to reveal, by the way, I also kidnapped your brother. And I'm going to kill your brother. And I don't remember how they get out of this, but they get out of it. I think the gang helps, maybe.
Yeah, because at this point,
I don't really remember.
There's also a kind of change where the gang gets on his side, and they kind of...
Oh, yeah, the gang's helping him out now because, Burke was going to kill them.
Yes.
And slowly at that, because he gut-shotted Slats and just left him there. So now the gang is cool with Steel because, he's not trying to fucking murder me. So they're helping him out. The kid gets away. I don't even remember what he did. But he gets away from him. Steel gets his brother. The building's on fire now. They're trying to get out. He winds up running into a small room that the guy who is Burke's second in command goes to lock them in after throwing a live grenade in with them.
This is a great scene.
So now there's a live grenade in there, and they're, oh my god, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And my first thought was, dude, you're in a steel suit, just lay on it.
Yeah, dive. I thought he was going to dive on it.
I thought he was going to lay on it, but no. We have to pay off a through line for this whole movie because just a bit above the door is a hole in the metal mesh in the wall. And Steel's going to have to free throw that grenade out of this room.
And if it's not clear already, Shaquille O'Neal is not good at free throws, something I picked up and I know nothing about sports.
And he makes it. And the grenade lands outside. A grenade that is so conveniently long fused.
Dude, this is the slowest exploding grenade I've ever seen. I was trying to count. It's 20-second fucking thing.
It lands outside the room, and the henchman that locked them in there sees it. And this is probably one of my favorite I know I'm about to die moments.
Oh my god, I laughed out loud.
Because for a man who has the deepest voice I've ever heard in my life, he lets out one of the most high-pitched shrieks when he realizes he's going to die.
No!
Find this on YouTube somewhere. You have to watch this moment.
Yeah.
His reaction is so good.
That's the kind of chewing the scenery I want in this movie.
Yeah.
So he's dead. They get out of the room. It turns out Burke is still alive. He decides he's going to show off his brand new weapon, which is like a superpower plasma ball cannon or something like that. That's on the back of the Humvee. And he fires it at Steele. And it bounces off his suit. And it bounces right back at Burke. And kills him.
I like how sometimes the shots bounce off of him and sometimes it just gets absorbed. Like there's no reason for.
He has shots, like especially with the Roman candle guns.
Yeah.
He had shots that would bounce off the armor, but he also had shots that would absorb into like the weird chainmail he was wearing and like kinda hurt him, but not.
Yeah.
Like they make a comment earlier than this. After the second bank robbery, he gets a cut on his chin, which is the only visible wound we ever see him take in this movie. But they also make a comment that he's broken a bunch of ribs.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like,
and
how?
his like heart rate is all fucked up.
It's like, how? What?
Or his breathing rate.
When did any of that happen? I'm sure it was when he got hit with a sonic cannon or whatever.
Also, by the end of this, I was like, he has a hammer. He never used it as a hammer.
Nope.
Not
he used it as a gun.
It was a fucking gun every time. I was like, you didn't even use it as a hammer, you idiot.
It was a hammer-shaped gun.
Yes.
Yeah, he never used it. What the hell?
I thought that moment when the car was coming, he was going to take the hammer and...
he was just going to bash the hood and like flip over or something. No.
By the way, in the meantime, I looked up that scene again where the guy sees a grenade and he yells no so good.
It's great.
The look of horror on his face.
It's such a satisfying moment of comedy.
It's a better death than Burke gets, that's for sure.
It is. My gosh. He got the death that I wish Burke could have had.
The problem is because Shaq is so fucking big, you can't do like a hand-to-hand combat.
They're not gonna fist fight in the middle of a burning warehouse because he's gonna. You know what they could have done, because it would have been a great John Henry moment, is they could have gone hand-to-hand and he could have railroad spiked his ass into the ground.
That would have been fucking hilarious.
And left.
Like a Tom and Jerry cartoon. It would have been great.
But, so the building's burning down. Sparky and Uncle Joe are trying to run away from it. Martin and John don't know how they're going to get out, and then they decide the way they're going to get out is they're going to drive through the wall with the crazy souped-up Humvee. And they are literally mere inches from running over their own friends.
I know, they stop right in front of them.
Car. Oh, no, it's not even that they stop in front of them. They punch through the wall inches behind where they were just standing.
They like just moved out of the way, and then you could have killed them. What are you doing?
Yeah, so he could have escaped and accidentally murdered the woman he loves?
Or likes a lot, maybe.
It has a friendship with. So they get out. That's great. Everybody that knows, everyone that's his family now knows that he's Steele. But Burke's gone. The army wants to work with Steele, but he says no. He uses the voice changer to pretend to be Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, this is also a bizarre choice.
Yeah, and like the one point when the colonel is just like, be honest with me. Are you John Henry Irons? And he goes, I've got to go now. And I was like, okay, that is a very obvious yes, you moron. You are so bad at everything you do in this movie. And so it turns out that after this happened, now Grandma has her French restaurant that she runs out of her house, which I'm going to tell you right now, that's not going to be legal.
I think you need a license for that. It's not zoned for restaurants.
Nope. But she has her restaurant. She finally made her souffle.
The souffle is there.
And Sparky has upgraded her wheelchair yet again so it can allow her to stand so she can finally hug John Henry.
Yeah, just a friendly hug is
a nice little
where it ends.
Some you leave some space for the Lord and you give her a nice hug.
A little space between us. By the way, she's half a step away from being a goddamn transformer herself.
Yes.
Which is amazing.
But congratulations, we have made it to the credits.
Oh, shit.
Of Steele.
And there is your Steele. Okay, listener, we're going to take a break so you can process, grab a beer, take a deep breath. We're going to come back after these promos and figure out what the fuck happened to Steele right after this.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
What's up, guys? Gerald from Two Peas on a Podcast here. Are you just sitting there thinking to yourself, man, I really love some dude in his garage sitting around talking about arbitrary countdowns and his favorite things in the world of movies, music, and TV? Well, guess what? That's me. Please look me up. My name is Gerald, and I am from Two Peas on a Podcast. If you want to subscribe to my countdown show, I have a different co-host every week. It's often someone from the world of podcasting or entertainment, and we go through our top 5 favorite things in whatever that week's category is. You can find links to all of our content, subscribe via your favorite podcast app, and follow us on social media. The easiest thing to do is just head to our website, which is www.twopeasonapod.com. I hope you look me up and join the party. It's a lot of fun. See you soon.
You have to watch it. It's so good.
It was all right. Your friends may have decent taste in movies, but their incoherent reviews are getting annoying.
I don't know. I just didn't like it.
Looking for a new podcast?
Join Time Sensitive, where we break down the recent movies you've heard of but may have missed.
Spoilers included.
And we get it. You're busy and can't see everything, but are you really going to track it down a year later?
We take the time so you don't have to.
Find us on Twitter @TSMoviePod and find out what we're watching.
I'm Sam.
I'm Ian.
And I'm Kate, and we're 3 friends and armchair movie critics. Seriously, invite us into your living room.
Kate, stop.
Listen now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher.
Time sensitive, because you deserve better.
Listener, if you enjoy the show, if you love the What the Fuck Happened series, it's one of our most downloaded episodes we have. Consider supporting the Jock and Nerd podcast. It's a great time to join our fan club. Visit jockandnerd.com/Patreon.
Jock and Nerd!
And for as little as $3 a month, you get access to an exclusive RSS feed that has bonus content. The shows come out early. There's instant reactions, movie reviews. Big thank you to our buddy, the official Jock and Nerd scientist guy of the podcast, Dr. Adam Morris, PhD, for increasing his support this week.
Oh, shit.
Thank you very much, Dr. Morris.
That's Delhauer's arch enemy.
Oh, that's right. One of these days, Morris and Delhauer in the octagon.
Stop making there be a fucking beef between us. We buried that shit 3 years ago.
Trying to start a thing.
And it was Imran's fault.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. I'm trying to bring it back.
You got to go 10 steps, turn around, shoot each other.
It's duel time.
I'm not Aaron Burr.
Mr. Burr, sir. Anyways, thank you, Dr. Morris. Jock Talk is back. Anthony, you and Chaz put out a Jock Talk.
Me and Chaz talked about sports.
Lovely.
It was fun.
We do talk about sports. It's on the Patreon. You got to sign up. And then everyone, if you sign up for $5 or more, it comes with now Discord benefits. You can join our exclusive Patreon-only Discord server.
Still don't really understand what it is.
One of these days, Anthony will join us.
Not this week,
Not this week. We're actually doing our first official monthly hangout Thursday, July 29th. That's a day after this show posts, or if you listen to this right away. Visit the Patreon post. You can figure out how to get to the server. And we're just going to hang out. We're going to do these on the last Thursday of every month. The next one is August 26th, Anthony. So mark your fucking calendar, you bastard.
You might even get to talk to one Matt Delhauer.
Oh,
wow.
Shit.
Oh,
come and hang out and geek out.
Come one, come all.
Discord, Jock and Nerd,
But
Patreon.
I'll tell you right
only.
now.
Yes.
We're all going to come.
We're all going to come somewhere. It's going to be very fluid. Lovely. Anyways, jockandnerd.com/Patreon. Sign up.
I don't want to come now.
Today.
Damn, dude, check your diet.
Oh, God. You should talk to a doctor
It's like
about
pineapple. What?
that. Oh, I eat well. I have a good diet. Okay. Delhauer. I do? No, I don't. I eat like shit.
I was going to say.
I used to eat well, and now I barely eat. I eat like shit. I'm exercising, though. It's a plus. Delhauer, what the fuck happened to Steel?
Wait, I can answer this.
Okay, let's start with some general thoughts. Anthony, go, and we'll get to Delhauer.
You know what happened to Steele?
Yes, what happened?
They cast Shaq in the main role.
Did. Yes.
Lame.
That's pretty much it.
The movie all around it is not good. Don't get me wrong. And it's very tropey. It's very cliche. But the fact of the matter is Shaq just cannot act. And
no,
that's just the downfall of the movie. He just can't.
Yeah.
He cannot act at all. The movie is actually somewhat fun in some sense, but he can't emote at all. And they were trying to capitalize on his popularity in a sport, and tried to make him a popular actor. And it's much harder than you would think. That's it.
Does not work. I will give the movie points for two things. This for having a lead black actor in a superhero movie. This is very early. This predates Blade, right? In fact,
this was them and Spawn.
Yeah,
I think,
this
right?
year, 1997, Spawn and this movie gave us black lead superhero characters.
Slow your roll, my dude.
Meteor Man and Blank Man.
I was gonna say those were the two. Those two movies are what this movie reminds me of.
Yeah.
Except you have Shaq in the lead role.
But I mean, the Meteor Man and Blank Man were great, but now you have like legit established, comic book characters.
I actually liked Meteor Man and Blank Man.
Oh, those are funny fucking movies.
And I think that's because they were movies that knew what they were.
Right.
Exactly. This one did not. And then the other thing I give it points for is representation for like a disabled person that actually joins the fight and has weapons. And, it's Oracle from Batman. But that's also very progressive. And I like seeing that in this movie.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's about it. That's the only two bonuses.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'll give them credit for it. This is not something that anyone would have thought they would see get put into a superhero film at the time.
Absolutely.
So, when the character of Steel first came around in the comics, as we had discussed, it was on the back of the death of Superman in the 90s. I don't remember the year. I'm going to go ahead and say 93.
93 is correct.
Oh, thank you. This is when we brought about the character of John Henry Irons, who had been vaguely established as a side character in the Superman comics before he was made into Steel. Initially the Man of Steel, later shortened to Steel when he got his own comic. And he caught the eye of one Quincy Jones. That's right. Quincy Jones.
Quincy Jones.
And he became a fan of the character, and he actually was very adamant on the idea of helping to bring the character to life in a film, because he was quoted in saying, "I hate to see children who don't believe in the future, and I believe Steel could be a role model for them." Quincy Jones wanted Steel to bring hope back to the disillusioned and cynical youth of the 90s. And boy, if you thought they were disillusioned and cynical then, just fucking wait, Q, man. That was the thing he wanted to do, and I cannot find where it was that they finally brought along Kenneth Johnson to write and direct this movie.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming he was brought in from Warner Brothers, since Warner Brothers already owned the rights to the DC comic catalog.
Mm-hmm.
So they were the ones who were already making the movies, such as the Batman movies. Kenneth Johnson gets brought on, and he said that he was very excited to be working on this movie because it was a chance to not only get away from the TV show work that he had been doing for a while, but he had been quoted in saying that he wanted to be able to create a character that could speak to the race relations in our country as they were at that time, because he himself had grown up in a house with a fairly anti-Semitic family and saw the vitriol that could come from that kind of thinking. He wrote this movie, which I would say the race relations that were going on in America at that time play zero role in this film.
For someone that wanting to really influence and change things, you really didn't touch on any of that, except maybe the Nazis. But it's so
it was so fleeting.
It's just so throwaway.
They're there to be a cartoon
it's
villain,
used for a joke. And the race relation stuff comes from Alien Nation that he's been working on, is like an allegory, a metaphor for race relations. Also, this is the only first and last movie he's ever directed, so that should be noted.
Don't be surprised. But he got brought on. Now, one of the big things was that when Warner Brothers was getting this movie put together...
Oh, wait. He directed Short Circuit 2. Sorry.
Oh, you mean the one where Fisher Stevens was in brownface?
Yeah, that's the first one. Both of them. That's both of them, yes.
Great. I'm glad he's really touching on the cultural problems of race in our country. But anyway... So, I also cannot find where it was, but at some point along the lines of Warner Brothers and Quincy Jones wanting to get this movie put together, along came Shaquille O'Neal, who became an executive producer
Unbelievable.
On the film. I think he probably became an executive producer later on when they first decided they were going to bring him in to be in the film, because despite the fact that Kenneth Johnson was campaigning very hard to get Wesley Snipes to play the character of John Henry Iron, WB said, no, we are going to have it be Shaquille O'Neal.
Can you imagine Wesley Snipes in this movie? And me, I don't know. Would it have worked? Maybe.
The movie's really bad.
It's just bad. I don't think it would have helped.
He would not have saved this role. Also, I don't see Wesley Snipes I don't know if they added the super strength thing in because it was Shaq.
Yeah, you can't do that
but
with
I
Snipes.
don't buy Wesley Snipes ripping doors off of fences.
That's a good point.
But they said no, it's going to be Shaquille O'Neal. They were dead set on him because they believed, number one, he was already seen as a role model to children based on a lot of the work he had done outside of the NBA through charities and a lot of the things that he got involved in at that time. Number two, he's a very recognizable name, and we're at a point where he's already been in Kazam, and Space Jam's a thing. So basketball stars in movies are selling. I mean, well, Space Jam did.
Space Jam is.
He might have been cheaper, too, than like an actual actor, probably.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe. But then he became EP, so...
Yeah, well, now he's getting the money.
The third thing they said was they wanted Shaq because that was a way they were definitely going to be able to sell toys to kids.
Of course.
So, they get along and they go ahead and they write the movie. Kenneth Johnson really wanted to try and nail the feeling and the culture of South Central at the time of the mid-90s. And apparently, it is said that when he had finished one of the drafts of the script, he then had gone out into South Central seeking out a lot of kids who were out and about in the neighborhoods and having them read excerpts from it and using them as consultants on whether or not the dialogue was true to form of the area.
Wow.
I like to think that's where the line "son of a butt" came from.
Well, it explains a lot of the lines, like I'll be dipped in shit and rolled in breadcrumbs.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was going to say, I think that's absolutely where the line of "I don't need to learn, I just need to earn" came from.
And then Uncle Joe goes, "Look at here, boy, you ain't Superman, and you damn sure ain't getting paid." That's definitely a kid.
That one as well.
Definitely a kid wrote that.
Yeah. But they have their script, they have their cast now, and they go into filming. And they're filming in South Central Los Angeles for 51 days. 32 of those days are night shoots for all of the steel action.
Oh, no.
And they said that a lot of what they had done was they had filmed at night because they wanted to avoid any kind of issues they might run into with the legitimate street gangs that populate South Central. And it still didn't save them.
Oh, jeez.
Because you're telling me that at any time during the day, you're going to be filming a movie where you're going to have cop cars running around South Central and a police helicopter flying in. Gangs thought that these were legitimate police and started opening fire on the helicopter.
Oh, shit.
And trying to shoot out all of the lights that were up on the cranes, thinking it was a raid.
Jesus Christ. That's the ghetto bird, as Ice Cube says in his song, Ghetto Bird.
I want you all to take a moment to recognize that people put their lives on the line to make steel.
To make a 12% on Rotten Tomatoes movie, yes. Wow. Wow.
Filming had wrapped. I believe they had wrapped everything with Shaquille O'Neal first before they filmed all the other things that they didn't need him for. We already went through the whole thing about how they had to have him do all of his own stunts. We talked about how Johnson did not want him in the role because he is not an actor.
Correct.
So we will now get into the release. And we've already touched on this beforehand. The fact that this movie made $1.7 million in the box office, domestic, because Steel did not release worldwide. Warner Brothers, in having seen, number one, I think, the box office failure that was Kazam, as well as the not-so lucrative attempts at a black superhero movie, such as Meteor Man and Blank Man, had zero faith in a black-led superhero movie, which is why they only got $16 million to make this film. It's why this movie looks cheap as shit. Yeah. It's why they hired a TV writer and director who, I'll tell you now, this entire movie, looks like it was made by a TV director. It
looks like a made-for-TV movie. Some of the music that he uses, it's straight up made-for-TV movie.
There's absolutely nothing interesting or dynamic about the camera placement, the lighting, anything in the way of set design, costumes. Absolutely everything in this movie is so bland.
Yeah, it looks like a sitcom.
Yeah. Looks like a TV show.
This movie gets fucking panned by critics everywhere. And part of the problem was because when they were advertising and doing marketing for this film, Warner Brothers made all of the marketing for what anyone who has seen this movie can say is a kid's movie. And they marketed it like it was going to be an intense sci-fi action thriller. And if you watch it, if you like go on YouTube and you find the trailer, it's got the movie trailer voice guy telling about how, you know, we are in a world where violence runs the streets.
Oh, it's so dark for no reason.
And it's all of these action shots, and they even pepper in some of the humor, including like the hammer time and everything like that. But it is cut to look like it is literally going to be RoboCop 4.
Wow, they did not know how to market this movie.
They gave it a PG-13. They wanted to draw in everyone, be like, hey, it's going to be it's going to be a superhero action movie. Let's get the teens in there. And what they got was fucking Disney Channel.
Yeah, the tone of this movie is not serious at all.
Like I said it earlier on, there's no way I can describe this movie better than terminally 90s.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, to the point that the bad guy has a lair that is like a warehouse where they've got chain link fences while they're like guys who are just doing things in the background.
Yeah, the sparks going off.
Yeah. Like, what are the sparks doing? Why are you guys welding the walls?
You gotta have the sparks in a welder always. I don't know what that guy's doing.
And Bender is progresses into such an evil guy for really like no reason.
No,
Like we start off with him basically being like, yeah, this dude's probably not great. Like he's essentially talking about how like, I think the tactics of the army should be shoot first, ask questions later. And you're like, yeah, there's definitely people like you in the military. But then it's like, as it keeps going on, it's things like, I will willingly shoot anybody in the face if it means I get to have $1.
Right.
It's like, okay. And it's like, I'm going to murder children.
Why not?
And I'm going to sell guns to terrorists. And you're like, what is happening? And it gets to a point where, like, during the auction, somebody makes a comment where it's like, you know, you don't want money, you want power.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, there's a thought. And it's like, but when did that come into play? Because everything throughout this whole movie has been how, like, I'm going to be super rich. So now it's not even about that. You want to be what? A dictator?
Yeah, I didn't understand that either.
Motivation's
it's like,
all
by the
over
end
the
of the
place.
movie is
I will
like,
say,
what's going on?
The thing that I find interesting about it is that his plan was that he is going to sell, like, I didn't get into this in the plot, but we'll talk about it now. He's going to sell all of these electronic laser weapons to all of these various terrorist organizations and, like, communist countries and skinheads. But the problem is that they are all highly complicated, proprietary electronic device. And the only way that you can keep them operating properly and charged is to come back to him and have him do maintenance and recharges on all of the weapons.
He's like leasing them, and they're like, lease?
He literally is Apple.
He's like, you got to come back to me for software updates every 3 months.
His entire plan is the iPod.
He did it.
That's actually a very good point. Yeah, I did catch that too, and then I'm like, he's
Steve Jobs. He's
leasing weapons.
He's leasing weapons.
Diabolical plan.
Like, I have to give them credit that, like,
it's original.
This dumb 90s kids movie has come up with the most ingenious fucking capitalist scheme I have ever heard of for a bad guy, because it's what we do now.
Yeah, it's so ahead of its time, this movie.
Everything you buy now falls apart very easily. You have to either buy a new one or you got to take it to specifically that company to get taken care of. Cars, electronics, fucking appliances, everything. We have essentially decided to live in a world that is run by fucking John Bender from the Steel movie.
What about now, Dad?
Oh.
What a movie.
Upsetting.
That's a great observation.
I will say the thing that I find surprising is I didn't hate this movie as much as I thought I was going to.
I'm in the same boat.
I expected that this movie was going to be abysmal, and while the acting's not good, the writing is not good, everything about this movie can be categorized as not good, it still was fun bad.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I got to have those moments where I'm just laughing, going, what the fuck am I even watching?
Well, there are moments in the film where they kind of lean into how, like, it's almost as if they either, maybe they're leaning into it, the kids part of it, but it felt like to me they were leaning into, man, this is really bad. We're just kind of going to have like there was some fun stuff in it.
They realized that they were campy.
Yeah.
Like there's even a point when he is getting into a fist fight with gang members, and they are doing the Batman 66 like musical stings every time he hits somebody.
Really? I missed that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
In that first gang fight, when they try to fight him hand to hand, if you go back and watch it, it's playing like, his fucking hero theme on repeat.
Yeah.
But every time he hits somebody, you get a wow. I was like, they knew it. They knew that they were making a fucking campy movie.
Did anyone else notice too that like throughout the entire film, maybe they didn't film this in sequential order, but the girl in the chair, her acting just gets considerably worse and worse throughout the entire film.
I wouldn't be surprised.
They gave her really bad
They
dialogue.
gave her the worst lines.
And she's constantly going, Johnny.
She's got terrible dialogue. She has a fucking 7-foot plank of wood as her partner to try and get chemistry
Nothing
off of.
to bounce off of, and it's so cheesy.
And I wouldn't be surprised if, as time went on making the movie, Annabeth Gish was just like, the fuck am I doing here?
Good. She's a good actress. Like, she's done a lot of stuff.
She's not great in this movie.
She floundered in this movie. And I will say, like, Judd Nelson has never been amazing, but he's better than what he's done here.
He's phoning it in, for fuck's sake, this guy.
What was it, the little finger touch thing?
I feel like that was basically, like, 90s movies had this shit all the fucking time.
Right, true. Like the
where
handshake.
you had to have, like, a cool secret handshake with your best friend, or like in Face Off, it was the weird thing where he would touch his daughter's face, and that's a way to be like, that's how you know it's her father.
But this is from E.T. It's the E.T.
This is like, it's like an E.T. finger thing, and I think that's the only. They were like, look, corporate's not going to let us have them be in love.
Right.
So they have to be fucking Arnold and Gerald from Hey Arnold and have like a secret handshake.
Just touch fingers. I believe they talked about a sequel at some point, but I don't know if you could reboot this. This could have been like their Iron Man before Iron Man. It's a little bit like Iron Man setup.
Think of it this way. Think of it this way. This movie follows the same basic outline as the first Iron Man.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. She's Pepper Potts and he's Tony Stark.
He is literally an arms dealer that sees the danger in what he built and decides to use his own ability to create an armor suit to fight the people who are utilizing his technology for ill-gotten gains.
Now compare the performances between Robert Downey Jr. and
Not even just the performances.
Just the writing, everything. Everything would have to be changed.
Here's the best part. Fucking Iron Man didn't have a script.
Yeah, they were
made
writing that shit as they were shooting it. They're just making shit up, and it came out
like
90%
of that movie is just Robert Downey Jr. being told, I don't know, man, fucking make it up. Let's go.
Riff.
But you know what? Like you said, though, this is one of those. I mean, as you mentioned, clearly a bad movie. One of the worst movies you'll ever see. But also like a bad fun movie.
It is a bad fun movie. It's fun.
Yeah, this is throw on with a bunch of friends at a party and laugh at it.
Movie.
I mean, right away from the opening scene when Shaq delivers his first line, you're like, "Yep, I know what I'm getting."
I know where I am and what I'm seeing.
Oh no! Oh, it's so good.
So this was with DC. Like, what were they? Do you have any idea of what they were expecting? Like, this was kind of like Batman, Superman, and then like Steel.
Yeah,
I was gonna say it was they had Superman, they did Batman. This came out between Batman Forever and Batman and Robin.
Okay, so you're in a really shitty time for DC.
Yeah. And the thing of it was that I think the reason that this got picked up and it ran with it was because you had Quincy Jones fighting it, like chomping at the bit for it, and I think it was also because he and Kenneth Johnson were pitching to DC and to WB, essentially that this could do what we wound up seeing decades later with Black Panther.
Yeah. They wanted it to be their Black Panther.
This would be the superhero movie where black people can finally have their hero. And they got this.
I mean, it's Warner Brothers. Are you surprised? They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They haven't. They still don't.
I mean, and beyond that, at this point with Warner Brothers, they were in development hell with trying to get a Catwoman movie made with Michelle Pfeiffer.
Right.
I think at this point they were also bouncing around ideas for Green Lantern before that finally wound up getting made like 6 years later.
I think
longer than that.
Catwoman was the next
movie. I don't know why I consistently think that Green Lantern came out in 2004.
No, that would have been worse.
I think it's because it feels like a movie that would have come out in 2004.
Jesus, it came out in 2011. Yeah, no, it looks like a 2004 movie.
But it just interesting choice
it's a trajectory I never would have guessed.
Yeah, just a bunch of things that kind of coalesced into this goofy ass fucking thing.
And this was at a point where they were starting to do like the Justice League cartoon and everything.
Yeah.
So it's not like their other characters weren't getting noticed.
But Steel is actually kind of a cool character if they did it right and were able to connect it with the Superman universe.
I have to believe, not at all based on any evidence, but they saw Shaq. They were like, oh, he could be a movie star because, Space Jam and all that. And he was in Blue Chips before that and Kazam. Although Kazam was probably made around the same time. But they probably just looked at that fucking tattoo on him and were like, oh, he should be Superman.
That's his real tattoo, right?
That is a real tattoo.
Shit.
Yeah.
I think
his nickname in the NBA was Superman.
Okay.
I think by the time that they were getting into production for Steel was around the time Kazam was coming out.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, when they were bringing him on and they were hiring him and they were making him EP and everything like that, nobody had any idea that Kazam was going to be such a huge fucking flop.
No one had any idea how bad of an actor he really is.
Absolutely. Yeah. And even to show him flexing his executive producer and, Shaquille O'Neal can do whatever he wants. Like Imran said, he's on one of the songs on the fucking soundtrack to this movie.
I'm a rapper too, bitches.
Yeah. I mean, Shaq was...
Kazam 5% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Shaq, yeah, that's Kazam's a bad... I remember seeing Kazam. That's a bad movie. That's a movie that often gets confused and everyone thinks like Sinbad.
That's the other, that's the other.
That was the Mandela effect thing about it.
But so this initially, it essentially kills Shaq's acting career in the future.
It's over.
Yeah, no, he decides. Yeah, I'm not doing this anymore, and no one's gonna fucking take a gamble on Shaq after Steel.
He does roles as himself and little cameos that are fun, but he didn't really play a character again after this John Henry Irons.
You couldn't. I mean, that acting is like Sharknado level.
Unless
if not worse.
But I feel like an independent director or some weird person can take him and make him into something interesting now.
So here's the problem. Maybe. Shaquille O'Neal, like, there are a lot of people who say that Keanu Reeves is the most wooden actor there is.
Right.
Shaquille O'Neal makes Keanu Reeves look like fucking Shakespearean.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
and
true.
It took something like The Matrix and John Wick to finally get to a point where people are like, you know what? We've been sleeping on Keanu Reeves. We actually appreciate him and his work now.
He's a legit action star.
There is nothing.
No, nobody wants to see Shaq.
You could give to Shaquille O'Neal that would make me go, you know what? I was wrong about this one. I've watched that motherfucker lumber around in boots and jump over fences, and he's never going to be John Wick.
No. He's not even, it's just like, it's not even fun to see him move around. It's
not. It's
so awkward watching him. And he's just so big, like, you can't frame him right. Like, it just, unless he's a villain, you can't do anything with him.
I just realized, Anthony, there's one thing we were actually wrong about.
What's that?
He has done one other role in which he played a character.
Who's that?
He played, I believe, a cameo as a cop in one of the Grown Ups movies that Adam Sandler made.
Oh, jeez.
Because why would you not have Shaquille O'Neal just show up for a day and be like, license and registration?
Showing up in an era of Adam Sandler movies which no one wants to watch or no one quotes anymore.
Yep. Oh, he plays Officer Fluzoo. So that is a character.
Oh, that is such an Adam Sandler name.
Such an Adam Sandler. Fluzoo.
And he's gonna come in, and he's gonna be Officer Flazoo.
Can I have a piece of pie, Officer Flazoo? Wait, I gotta mention on a related note, quick spoiler alert for Superman and Lois on the CW.
Spoiler alert.
So if you haven't watched it and you want to watch it, stop listening. But John Henry Irons is on the show, and he's a great character.
He makes a return.
He's great, and he comes from another universe. Superman and Lois is a fucking great show, and
you know what that means?
What's that?
They gonna fucking kill that Superman.
Oh boy. Oh, and they're doing a kind of a thing where, yeah, sort of like that in the show, but he could set him up.
That sucks, man. Tyler is my favorite fucking Superman.
He's a great Superman. The show is better than I thought it would be. I really love it. It's basically, the show is like, what's one thing all Superman powers can help him with? It's being a dad.
Being a dad.
Yeah, it's great, and it works, and it sounds cheesy, but it's so fucking good.
She's a reporter. He's an alien from another planet who's actually super strong, and they've got kids.
They got 2 kids. They got to raise in this crazy world. How they going to make it happen?
He's faster than a speeding bullet, but can he handle homework?
That's exactly what it is.
Wednesdays at 8 on ABC.
Join Clark and the Kids. New sitcom on ABC.
Clark's Kids.
But so the character of Steel, John Henry Irons, still very much current in whatever they're doing now on the CW. It's very good. So
you know what I want? Give me fucking Cyborg Superman.
Cyborg Superman would be cool.
Great.
That is one of the most fucking tragic stories. And what I love about it is it's basically DC decided to take the origin of Fantastic Four and was like, what if it just fucking killed them? Like 2 of them turn into plasma people, one of them's phasing in and out of existence, and the other one just melts.
It's horrific.
Like, yeah, dude, this is horrifying.
Yeah, it's a horrifying looking character.
That's like the fucking first half of the Fantastic Four movie, the body horror.
I mean, it's literally what they did for Two-Face's character in Dark Knight. Where they CGI, that's how you would do Cyborg. I mean, his face would just have to be melting off.
It's frightening to look at, yeah.
By the way, speaking of 2015's Fantaforstic, still the worst movie we've ever done.
You think so?
Wow.
I think I do.
Worse than Steel? Yeah, maybe you're right.
Yeah, because they were trying.
Yeah, they were actually trying.
See, this is the thing, is I have said, ever since we've done that movie, any movie we have done beyond this, I can find something to enjoy.
Yeah,
that movie was so joyless.
Wow, yeah.
I could not ever bring myself to willingly watch it again.
That movie's not even, there's nothing redeemable about that.
Like, I will probably never watch Howard the Duck again.
Oh, that's a fun movie, though.
But if you put a gun to my head and went, we're either watching Howard the Duck or we're watching Fantastic Four,
you're like Howard the
I'm going to say Howard the Duck so goddamn fast.
That, you know what? It's funny. That was our second What the Fuck Happened before we kind of like figured out.
Yeah, man, I peaked early.
Yeah, no, but it was before we realized like we should do old movies. It was a new movie. It just come out and it was already, but it was that bad. It is that bad.
No, it was that bad. It was just, yikes.
All right, good stuff, Delhauer. Thanks for doing the work and the research. I needed a break. Thanks for doing the heavy lifting.
Yeah, of course, man. I love coming in here every 18 months and just giving you one day off.
Yes, I fucking need that because then it helps with the burnout. But we'll get you on here sooner. Think about the next one. I don't know.
Sure. You know. I have the ability to show up to do episodes that aren't
I know.
I watch stuff. I've got opinions on things.
I know. We've had you come on and review stuff, so
I could do witty banter with Anthony.
Let us know. And
he's put you in a box.
I can fight with Rug Boy about Twitter.
You're just the What the Fuck Happened guys. Stay in your lane, Delhauer. No, I'm kidding.
All right.
No, let us know what's coming out that you want to talk about. You just got to let us know when you're. I know you.
I don't fucking know, man.
All right, I'll hit you up.
Like that's the other side of it. I don't keep up with shit. Like there are things that I'll watch and I'll definitely see movies and stuff like that. But like I'm not trolling the news sites and shit like that. I look for you to do that.
I understand.
And then every so often go, hey, you want to chat about this thing? And I go, Imran, my wonderful, great friend, I would love to do
Listen,
that.
we have a lot of superhero movies still coming out this year, so I'm going to be calling you.
And that's great.
Don't make sure the phone is not busy and you're not using it ever, because I will be calling you. Just sit next to it and wait for
I don't answer phone calls anyway, Imran.
Wait for the phone.
It's always a robot
to ring. I know.
I can only renew my warranty on my car so many times.
No, every phone call is someone trying to rip you off. Don't answer the phone. It's very dangerous. What do you want to plug anything for the listener as we peace out? What do you want? What do you got?
Quick plugs that I can do. At the moment, I mean, go and check out. I was recently on Dig on America.
Oh, my God. Okay, hold on. Holy shit. I'm glad you mentioned that. Listener, I'm going to put this link in the show notes. I meant to tell you the fucking bit you guys did was so fucking hilarious. Tell them about...
Was it the Was it the prank Mary snap
No,
or
it
whatever
was the Fox News interview with Mikey Famine as Obama and you as Mark Hamill's Joker. And you're interviewing Obama, and it was fucking hilarious. It was so good.
Yes,
so good.
That was a lot of fun. Dutch really loves making me do Joker to the point where Mikey yelled at him.
Stop making him do Joker.
Was like, he could do other characters. Fucking stop making him do one
But
thing.
Mikey does an amazing Obama too.
He does.
You know?
He does a spot on
and
Obama.
you do an amazing Mark Hamill Joker. So it was just a fucking surreal conversation to listen to. It was great.
It was a shit ton of fun.
Great.
I had a lot of fun on that episode, despite the fact that like half that episode was me having fun and hanging out with them, and the other half of it was me raging over the idea of politics in comics being a new concept.
Yeah, it's not new, people. Where you been?
But anyway, I absolutely recommend checking that one out, as well as a bunch of other episodes they do. They do a lot of great work over there. I'm sure you people have been listening to Dig on America.
Yeah,
it very much crosses over into the same listener pool. It's definitely, it does have a lot more things to do with politics, so I can understand if you're a little burned out on that,
We do share listeners, though. Absolutely.
Yeah, don't feel like you have to listen to every episode, but, don't run from it, baby. It's life.
Yeah. There.
Don't run from it, baby.
Beyond that, I am not yet consistent, because when am I ever? But I am not yet consistently scheduled on when I do streams on Twitch.
Yeah.
But I am streaming on Twitch at Matty DVO TV, or Matty Devo TV, if you're nasty. And I'm on there. I tend to do variety, but a lot of what I do almost often is usually either Dead by Daylight or other horror games,
nice.
Because people love seeing this chunky white boy scream in horror.
Like the henchman with the grenade. No!
Exactly. Yeah.
No, that's great. Make sure I'll put all the links in the show notes. Listener, follow him on all his socials because he always posts when you're streaming.
Matty DVO TV, wherever you can find me on social. Yeah. So that's Instagram and YouTube and well, not really YouTube yet, but Twitter. I'm vaguely on TikTok.
Oh, really?
Don't expect shit.
Oh, doing a little
because I'll tell you now, man. Like this is one of those things where like I could scroll through that shit for hours and it's fun and it's funny and everything like that. But when it comes to the point of knowing how to like make a TikTok video that's going to be in any way worth watching, I feel like the oldest fucking troglodyte there has ever been.
Use this
where I'm like looking at the camera being like, so how do I make it do this thing now? So there's a few things where I've done a couple VO things on there, and I've done maybe one or two like, reaction videos to shit where it's like, hey, millennials, listen to this and let's do 5 fingers down. And I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. Make me realize that the new generation hates me.
You just got to keep it simple and be fucking entertaining and funny. That's all. It's same.
Hey, I know, man. See, this is the problem though, is that when
I love Imran's giving you advice on TikTok.
That's all you.
I know. When the goal is make something the kids are gonna like,
that's hard.
My brain immediately goes, they fucking are not gonna like me. What are you doing? You moron. You dumb 31-year-old asshole. What are you doing here?
You'll figure it out. It'll be fine. Check him out on TikTok. It's going to be fun.
I think I might just steal Anthony's backflip video and put that on
over
there.
And over again with different effects each time.
And then I was going to say, just make it, Anthony backflipping to different music.
But just like Photoshop, like just a picture of your face on my face.
My face on your olive skinned body.
Right.
You green screen, you have him in the background, you just point at him backflipping. That's a TikTok video. That's what they do. Look at this guy backflip. That's it.
Hey guys, look at this asshole.
That's it. That's all you got to do.
His asshole backflip.
Fucking jumping 5 feet backwards. What are you, an idiot?
You got a backflip in place. What is that? What kind of form is that? All right.
Our listeners are like, what are you talking about?
You know what? Check out the Patreon. Sign up. There may be some bonus content explaining what we're talking about.
Post a backflip, sure.
Yeah, because that was funny. Okay, that's it. Listen.
It was funny.
It was really
was funny.
The backflip conversation was funny. Get that on Patreon.
Yeah, the entire conversation is pretty good.
The flip itself was a little bit funny, but
no, the flip itself, that's a high paywall on Patreon.
Yes, that's
you gotta be elite.
The flip itself, you're gonna have to give us $30 a month to see the flip. You can hear us talk about the flip for $3 a month.
Pat
Sign
Downey
up today.
will pay that right away.
Yes, he will. Talking nerd. You hear that? You can find the flip at Anthony's Black Flip. All right, we're going to backflip the fuck out of this show. Thanks for listening to the Jock and Nerd podcast. My name is Imran.
My name's Anthony.
He's the Jock.
He's the nerd.
We'll peep you next time. Get the fuck out of here. It's over. What are you still waiting around for? Go home already.
Eat more pudding.
Yes, sir.